That's we used to do these things called the hidden poops, where
What?
it would be like clips from the show that didn't make it into the show,
Mm-hmm.
and we would basically cut stuff out of context, and
Cool.
that would have made it when I just said I would never jack off. Actually, that would end up being one of my quote pictures, right? It would say I would never jack off because it's out of context. Even though it was, I don't even remember what the context was. You were like, well, it's one step away from being jacked up.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
one step away from being jacked off.
Yeah, jacked up
I
was
would never
just
jack
one
off.
flip of the switch away from jacked off.
Yeah, well, like I said,
Tom, do we have I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but do we have a decent amount of people sitting here today?
we have
Can
enough
we?
people. Yeah, go ahead.
All
Do
right.
what you gotta do.
I just have to Tom, behind the scenes, you and I talk a lot, and we have a lot of expectations for the show and for the friends of the show.
Yeah.
We tend to hold ourselves up in high regard, not only for our truthiness, but also by being the coolest guys in the room. You know what I mean?
I have never claimed to be that person, but I will take
Yeah.
it.
Well, off air, we were talking about
Oh yeah.
how, yeah. Well, I mean, we wouldn't do it to, I mean, not on air. That's embarrassing. Why would we say that? Okay. I just want to formally apologize. I'm going to look right directly into the camera.
Please do.
On behalf of You Had Me at Bigfoot, I want to apologize to all of you out there for not ending up on or in the Reuters hit piece on conspiracy theory right-wing channels that are bringing down our country and, dare I say, the world. Reuters took BitChute and Odyssey to task. I had mentioned to Tom earlier in the growth of this show to the middle, where I said to Tom, maybe we should put this on Odyssey as a backup, and he was like, Jerry, I've heard your asshole just speak, and I'm tired of the farting. And I said, fine, it's just, I was a rookie then. I didn't push. And if we had only been on Odyssey, Tom, or maybe even BitChute, we could have been part of the huge hit piece for right-wing conspiracy nuts that Reuters just put out. And I just want to say I'm sorry. For me, on my, I don't want to speak for Tom. Tom is his own man. But for me personally, I just want to say I'm sorry. And we'll try harder, I think.
Well, I
don't
hate
know.
to take the wind out of your sails, Jerry, but
Okay.
we are on BitChute and we are on Odyssey. I did that when you
What?
recommended switching over to Odyssey. I did the conversion, like I built the account and then I did the conversion. But what it does is it doesn't move live episodes. So the majority of our episodes are live, and since we've moved to YouTube, and those ones didn't transfer. So the only ones that there are like maybe a handful on there, and
Really?
we didn't make the cut. But the ones that made it, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if they are the ones. So, anyways, but we're also on BitChute, and I was actually talking to one of the friends of the show, and they were asking about the You Had Me at Skippy episode, which got taken off of YouTube because we cyberbullied John Podesta so hard, and they were asking about because the audio is still on the podcast, right? You can hear it on the podcast, and they never took that down. They just took it off of YouTube, so they were able to listen to it on like Spotify or wherever. And
dude, Tom, I need to correct you just real quick. You had me at now. Can you just? I just need to on Odyssey. I'm looking now. I found us, and the last show was from 4 months ago, and it was You Had Me at Bigfoot, and it was 45 minutes long. Did you manually move it, or did that?
No. Maybe it moved over. I don't know what happened there.
I mean, it's 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, it hasn't happened since.
Maybe
But
I need to clean it up regardless, and the same thing with the bit shoot. But that's where, if
sure.
you want to watch the episodes that are taken off of YouTube, like you had me at Skippy, because that was the thing. Like when you had made the joke about, there was a part on that episode where I like burst out laughing because it was so funny to me, and uh, and that was one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, Jerry's the guy to take V's place if anyone, was because of the laughs that we had on that episode, and then the Vax jab and Fauci. But the
Right.
specifically the Skippy one, where I said something along the lines of, you said, well, she, referring to the girl who John Podesta and his brother
Sure.
kidnapped, along
Right.
with what's her face, Ghislaine Maxwell. They kidnapped that girl, and you had mentioned that she had gone missing, and I said, did you just assume her gender? And you said, yes, I did in fact just assume that missing child's gender. And so that, and then like right after that, I do the thing where I correct you and I say that it wasn't actually a national tragedy or whatever. I said it was it was more of a regional tragedy. And like I burst out laughing at my own joke, and we were talking about that, and they said, oh, I wish I could see where you're like just because I remember bursting out laughing and like having no control over when I get into like one of my fits where I'm laughing, or like that time that like I laughed so hard that I passed out, and it's recorded, it was on the live stream, and so like I don't have any control, like I can't switch the screen real quick, so sometimes you see me like looking silly, and that was one of the things I was like, well, you can watch it on BitChute as a matter of fact, because it is on there. They're very like cool about leaving stuff on there. There's no real regulation, from what I can tell. But yeah, it's on there if you want to. And I put it in the Discord. If you look on the episodes when that got taken down, and then when you had me at Bigfoot for President 2024 re-erection or whatever, that one was taken down because I think we ripped on the trannies or whatever for too much, and they eventually they took it down for cyberbullying, and that was the time like right before you came on, and that's why we were serving our 2 business week
the 2 business weeks whatever that was, the YouTube business week, which was 13 days or something.
I think I actually need to move that over. No, it ends up being 19 days because they don't count the weekends, so the 2 days per weekend tack on to the 5 days, so it ends up being no, whatever the fuck it is, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's an extra. It ends up being 18 days at least, I think, on the 19th.
Yeah, it was quite a bit. I remember it was quite a bit, because you were like, hey, do you want to join? P.S. You have you have a union breaks long before you have to join. Right. And I was like, wow, 18 days.
Well, no, it was it was actually because I told you I invited you, and then that day you were like, let me think about it, and then an hour or two later you're like, by the way, let me just say whether I take it or not. It's really cool that you invited me, and I appreciate it. And then like an hour later you were like, yeah, I'll do it. So it was like there was no. I mean, it was like 2 hours. I was like waiting in the winds, like, is he gonna do it? I don't know. But all I had to wait was like 2 hours to hear a final answer, or maybe it was the next one. I don't know, but whatever. But yeah, I do need to add the stuff back to BitChute and kind of get onto Odyssey and mess with that. Because I have all the raw data. I know you like to hear about my big hard drive, and I was going to take this opportunity to speak about my big hard drive again to you. But
I love it when you tell me how many megabytes you're going to take out of this situation.
Megabytes, please. Terabytes, sir.
Terabytes. Oh my goodness, that's right.
5 of them. I will take 5 terabytes. That's how big.
Well, that's just it. If you're not terabyted, then the adrenochrome can't flow properly. Wait,
no, you got to scare them first too.
That's right. You have to scare the shit out of them first. Well, I just want to say as another, and I don't know the background, as far as like what you have to do. So take there's no judgment from here, because I don't know what is involved. Okay. But I can say that Odyssey channels do have live streaming now. They didn't before. I don't know if that's like a new, maybe you have to be popular or something. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Like, dude, I mean, only the coolest kids are left off of the multinational conspiracy BitChute Odyssey group, and that would be us. They were like, oh, you don't put those guys on there. That's a problem. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, dude, I just wanted to say do you okay, it's getting kind of crazy, right? I mean, I know we discuss conspiracies and different other things of that nature, but I mean, do you think it's not telling that, I don't know, the UN said they were coming out basically against, I don't know, truth?
Yeah.
The free flow of information, calling people terrorists. I believe the World Economic Forum just hired 100,000 people, truth warriors, I think they called them, or something.
Yeah. I talked to one of them today.
Did you really? Stop.
I did. No, I talked to somebody who was trying to correct, who, like, everything they said about the vaccine was
wrong,
absolutely incorrect, and like it was easily refuted. It wasn't like, but I was like, if I wasn't driving right now, right, I would take you to school, but I did enough while I was, texting or whatever, not paying attention to the road, not hanging, using my knees to steer and shit through school zones at 40, 50 miles an hour. But I was typing and I was correcting
schools
them.
Listen, Tom, school zones are made to be broken.
School zones. Well, some other people jumped in though and did my work for me. I did some of it. I think I had a hard time, and what's funny is I had a hard time, if you recall. So I'll give you the backstory real quick. I had posted because Jill Biden's stupid ass got COVID again, and I said,
"Is this before or after the student loan announcement?"
Oh man, it was like at the same time, which was maybe
he just got COVID people. During it.
Yeah, she was like, as they were announcing, she was like, or whatever, or I don't know what COVID feels like, because I don't. From what I understand, there's really,
because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it would be like saying, I don't know what unicorn disease is really like, because unicorn disease does not exist.
Wait a minute, Tom. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm sorry.
Redact it?
Dude, there was something redacted, and I thought for a second, right? Because I'm seeing, as you know, you look first into the Skype screen where you're looking at the smaller version of things. Oh, yeah. So then I had to go over and look at the show, and I literally thought that Mike said hi to Jin. It's like, hey, good for thanks for being here. That's awesome. And then was like, redacted.
You know what? He's like,
That's what I thought.
Fuck that. No. Fuck Jin.
Fuck you, dude.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
No. Welcome
name.
to Jin. I'm gonna have to make a big deal because Jin, it's their first time being here. So, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And Mike, shame on you for saying such hurtful things to our new friend, or our first time visitor.
Because he's Jeff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the jab, that's one of the many symptoms of the jab, is like
you will be like, meet a guy named
you'll be super nice, and then you'll immediately be like, well, fine, fuck you. If they don't answer like immediately, you redact your welcomes. That's, I mean, we saw that in the 9 pages, right?
Dude.
But
yes, we did. First of all, we did, but Tom,
what?
Did you look at our channel today? I mean, dare I say our channel?
Well, it is our channel. It is. In fact, I would just say it's yours for the sake of, like, so I don't get in trouble one day when they come knocking on doors. I'll be like, no, this is Jerry's show.
Tom, I don't want to. I know I did this last time and it backfired nearly immediately. And I'm also not saying that we should take 2 weeks off between shows all the time. I just want to say that You Had Me at Bigfoot is now at 704 subscribers.
We are moving up. That's like a big percentage for us. You know what? It's so funny. I see other people who start a new channel and then like they're already at like 800, and I'm like, good for them. But I'm like, we've been here for how many years? 7 years now, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But where was I? I was talking. Oh, the vaccine thing or whatever. Like I mentioned something about how Jill Biden. I said, so does the vaccine work? Does the vaccine in this Paxlovid treatment work or not? Because like every time I hear
clearly
about somebody getting COVID, it's somebody who's vaccinated, first of all. Second of all, they go immediately to this Paxlovid or Pavloxic or whatever this medication is. That is also like made by the same people who make an ineffective vaccine. They made a medicine that you're supposed to take in addition to the vaccine that, as we've seen, doesn't work, because you have this rebound COVID where people are testing positive again, and such is the case with Dr. Jill Biden. Excuse me.
Are you saying that this doesn't sound right to you? It sounds like you're a little concerned about the efficacy and.
I'm incredibly
Tom, I guess
concerned.
I don't want to be a worrywart here, but it sounds like you're a bit skeptical.
Oh no, I would never challenge the efficacy of the vaccine. But no, that's what I said. I said, so does it work or not? Because like you talk about go get vaccinated, and then the vaccine didn't work, right? And then you'd say
it worked too well.
It works so well that like people are now
get it.
You get COVID now. That's the thing with the vaccine.
Yeah, you remember how many years they had, like you would they try to get you to get a flu shot, right?
Yeah.
And they go, oh yeah, mine works so well, I got the flu like immediately. Thank God I got that out of the way.
Right.
You ever hear people talk like
bug
that?
chasing for COVID.
Yeah, dude. Do you remember back in the day though? Like I know this COVID stuff's crazy, and the monkey butt pox or whatever it is, like all this stuff is nuts. But even for the most simple thing, like did you ever have people like in your family or close friends or work, whatever, who go, oh yeah, man, I just got my flu shot. I feel sick already. But at least that'll be it, because I got my shot or whatever. And it's like, dude, are you stupid? Are you stupid? And then you think about all the fluoride and stuff, and you're like, yeah, you're fucking stupid. That's what it is, right? I studied
the flu vaccine for this, not until COVID came out. I stopped getting the flu vaccine some time ago because I realized, I'm like, it doesn't work. I always get the fucking flu. Even if I get the flu shot, and usually like right after I get it, right? So I'm like, maybe my body's just not meant to, but then it turns out that's the case with everybody.
That's right.
But so this, I studied the flu vaccine, and it turns out, since 2000, that was where I started like looking at the numbers or whatever. Since 2000, the average efficacy of the flu vaccine has been 40%. Like. And
didn't we do this on the show before?
Yeah, and only because there was 1 year where it was 60%, right? And
that's right.
And that's what bumped it up. And like that was a lucky year. And still they were like, no, the flu vaccine it's incredibly effective. And it's infective, in fact, but it's so effective. And I'm like, it's never been. So when I consider effectiveness, right, or efficacy of something, I don't think 60%, right? That's like. No. Not even close. That's a failing score, and we've known that to be a failing score since grade school, right? So 60% is not effective in my opinion, but that's like the standard that these agencies think, oh, it's an effective shot. And I get it. The flu shot is constantly mutating, and they're guessing. That's all they're doing, is they're guessing what the flu is going to do that year. So there's really. It's got to be incredibly difficult to guess the right strain, but you'd think they would have figured out a new way to do it by now. I don't know. But anyways,
I mean, if you could just not have to do that work and then
how about just don't don't worry about the flu shot anymore, because the numbers that are people who are
your chances increase by doing it.
It's so stupid. Yeah, I'll never understand that shit. But people make money off of it, so they got to do it. It's
that's what I'm saying. If you're the company, right? Like if you're the company and someone says to you, your product doesn't really work. You've been doing this for quite a long time. Do you think you could look into making it work?
We've been paying you since the 1920s to get this shit under control.
Yeah, it's a really long time. Like people stop getting polio, whatever, right? I mean, I can't even imagine, like sitting like there's just a guy, cigar in his mouth. I hate to say this on the show. I know we run a clean program here. So Tom, please forgive me.
Don't say anything about penises, Jerry.
No, of course not. That'd be ridiculous. He's just laying on a pile of cash with a cigar in his mouth.
A pile of penises.
And a pile of. Well, you see, you almost. So
it's the same.
He's laying
guy,
on a pile of cash. Laying on a pile of cash, right? Bloody piles of cash. With a cigar that is sincerely just a cigar in his mouth. With many children. Let's just say, in and around is the vagina, right? Because it's right. I just flipped it. Is this a guy with a vagina? Is it Satan? We don't know. You
never know.
The point is, a guy with a vagina and a cigar in his mouth on a pile of bloody money with children near his privates. Responds to that question by saying, "What's my motivation?"
Why does he sound like Marlon Brando?
Because I wanted to try it, and I thought, well,
it worked. I picked it up.
There it is. You got it.
I said so, and that's what kills me about this whole. And the argument that they came up with was, well, you guys just don't understand. It was never advertised. It works as advertised.
It was never supposed to work.
Right.
Oh.
It works as advertised. It was never supposed to. It was never advertised as being 100% effective. And I was like, well, that's just untrue. Like, and I can tell you that right off the top of my head.
Right.
And I went looking for the Pfizer tweet, and it took me some time. Like, the search engine optimization has been finagled, believe it or not, by Google to where you won't find it unless you know the exact verbiage of that tweet.
Dude, shut up.
No, believe it or not. And all the pictures, like the screenshots of it, have been removed from Google. So it took me some time. I finally had to track it down on Pfizer's actual Twitter page. And it says straight up, it's effective. If you get the vaccine, you will not get COVID. And then I posted that. And then other people said it was advertised that it would, it says the CEO of Pfizer said it was 100% effective in trials in South Africa or whatever. But then there were other people who were saying Joe Biden even came out and said, if you get the vaccine, you won't get COVID. And Fauci came out and he said, these things are perfect. They're flawless. They're amazing. And like the head of CDC and the head of whatever, all these places, they all specifically said that if you get the vaccine, you won't get COVID. And I said, that's exactly what I told this person. And then they said something else. And I said, well, now I know you don't know what the fuck you're talking about because like whatever they said, it was just some other weird thing. They were like, well, and then somebody else just hit me up and they said, well, people aren't dying on ventilators anymore. And I said, because people stopped using ventilators because they realized they don't work. That's how you die when you have COVID. Is because it's not because you died of COVID. It's because you died of a ventilator or remdesivir or whatever that drug was called that was designed to kill you. Yeah. And then anyways, the whole thing, it drives me crazy because you've never... Oh, that was the other... They said, well, vaccine is defined as such, and being immunized is defined as such. And they gave the new definitions, and I'm like, I'm old enough to remember a year ago when they changed the definition to fit this criteria, because never, and I dare you to prove me wrong here, but never in your life since the advent of, like, the polio vaccine or hepatitis A vaccine or smallpox vaccine, like all these vaccines that came out, never once did you hear someone say, hey, I got my polio vaccine. And then 6 months later, you're like, hey, why aren't you walking? And they're like, I got polio, right? You've never heard that. Or just ask Mr. McConnell. Why are you yellow, right? Like, why is your face yellow? Oh, got hepatitis A.
Well, Tom, you were in Vietnam when you asked that question. That's not very nice.
But that's what blows my mind. I'm like, you guys have such a short memory span that it worked, right?
That's why this works.
This whole thing worked on idiots and only idiots. And so as soon as I hear somebody challenge it and say, well, the definition is such, or well, it's never meant to do this, and I'm like, you guys have the attention span of like a guppy, right? You just don't remember a year or two ago, and it dawned on me. And as I was driving home, typing, right, it dawned on me. I'm like, why are people so wrong all the time? And it's always young folks, right? Why are these people wrong all the time? And it seems like a new phenomenon. Like, it didn't used to be where people were just always wrong, nor did they like accept being wrong as an acceptable whatever state of being. It dawned on me that a lot of these young folks just don't know what it's like to be right. So they think that being wrong is being right. Like, they've just never had that experience where they're right and it's been proven to be right objectively and permanently, and there's no refuting it. They've never had that feeling of being correct and proven correct by just generally, because we can look and say, well, I don't know, that carpet right there is gray. If you look at somebody's carpet, it's gray. That carpet is gray. And then people are like, yeah, that's true. And there's nobody in the room who can say, no, actually that carpet is brown, and I'm going to prove you otherwise. And then they give you a bunch of bullshit and then convince everybody in the room, oh, it's actually brown. Okay, I got it. They've never had that experience where everybody is in agreement, where they're like, well, yes, that's just objectively true. There's no doubt. They're in a world that has constantly been... has just constantly been full of misinformation. And so they don't know what it's like to be right, actually, that they think that being wrong is the feeling of being right. Does that make sense?
I think I get what you're saying. First I want to say I think I get what you're saying, but I want to put a slight twist on it, unless I'm misinterpreting, and it may be exactly what you're saying, which is I think it's that if no one ever tells you you're wrong, then being wrong is like saying the wrong shit, and saying the right shit is the same.
Right. So they feel like
so if you don't,
you've got
if you don't find the low, like if you don't get the low of being told, dude, you're a fucking idiot, right? Then you don't get the high of like, I got it right. You know, like I once, like, I don't remember what I did. I made some, just like awful food. We all have done it. We fucked up and made some awful food, right?
Yeah.
And then you make some
every
great food.
Every time I cook. Yeah.
And the same people say, oh, you did a great job. You're like, I did. Right? Like there's that fulfillment. Now, Tom, I want to stand up for our people. And I don't know what kind of censorious stuff you're doing.
What do you mean, our people? What do you mean, our people?
It seems to me that Stephicus wrote a message that showed up on your screen. I have it paused to see it. And it's not showing up in the chat.
Because she said something offensive, I'm sure, and YouTube.
Right. Well, it says, this random hoe apparently has never seen a Latina with curves and was mad because I laughed at some comment. She said I'm killing people, and I said we all die one day. She said she's fully vaxxed. And the thing is, I don't know the full context, but I want to know, like, what she's referring to. Like, why is it Latina with curves? Like, where does the Latina with curves that this person has never seen come into? Like, what was the conversation before that where she's has to say, apparently this dumb hoe hasn't seen, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
If I just said to you, like, if I thought you were on the phone with me, and then you just cut back in, and I go, and this dumb hoe has never seen a white guy with a nice ass, and you just go, wait, what? Why are you, right? You know what I'm saying? I want to know where that context is coming from. Why was there a conversation where
sometimes I just like getting the second part of a conversation, because then I can do with it what I want, right?
Oh, you know what?
She said somebody called her a fat hard R, which, if I'm not mistaken,
wait, what?
Stephicus is Hispanic, so I would say they probably said a fat Latiner. Hard R? Is that what? That's
a hard beaner. Is that what?
Oh, it's Bina. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Jerry,
Bina. Excuse me.
Please.
Wait. No, Tom, I have to really apologize. Excuse me. It's Bean X. If you remember, Tom.
That's right. They did change it.
It was Latinx. Now it's actually just Bean X.
Bean X.
How fucking stupid is that?
That's like.
Do these people think, like, if they saw this show, right? They'd think, oh, these hateful people or whatever, right? But if you just take, for people who believe this shit, this Latinx or, all the very just take the nonsense out. Just go, leave a part that's ridiculous, the X part, at least, and then you just insert slur here. You know what I mean? Like, or something absurd.
Jerry.
Like, for example, remember we talked before about certain animals that had love affairs with women. If you remember, we've talked about that on the show before. And imagine if I said, no, Tom, it was a dolphin X.
Oh. Neutral. Yeah, like a non-binary dolphin.
Right, or whatever this is supposed to mean. Whatever Bina X is supposed to mean, right? I don't know. I just wonder if people take that out and just go, like, if they were to see that contextually, they go, all right, that does sound fucking stupid. I'm going to give you that,
I've never met a Hispanic person who is into the whole Latinx. And the thing about it is, like,
dude, you told me that your wife got it tattooed on her back, like a.
Well, I may
like
have
a tribal.
Embellished. I may have embellished a little bit.
I see.
No, but I've never, and it's always like, it's just white people who want to, I don't know, push this. But the thing is, like, languages traditionally, many of them at least, are gendered language. And Spanish is a gendered language, so there is that's what
very gendered,
is. And
That's right.
so when they do an X, to me, I'm like, you're just spitting on the language, first of
Yes.
all. And typically it's people who don't speak Spanish or understand it or have no understanding. Now, I don't speak Spanish. I understand a little. I understand some of it.
Sure.
But when I speak it, I would sound like a caveman anyhow.
Well,
But
Tom, you were telling me off air that you don't speak Spanish, but you speak Spanx.
Spandex. Oh, that's a twofer. That's a twofer. Because I like when our jokes do that, where like I mishear you and it's funny, and then I realize that you said something else and it's funny too. So like you said Spanx, you know,
Right.
as we're talking about gendered language, but
That's right.
but I thought you said spandex. Which,
Oh yeah,
like,
I heard
thought
you.
that was like a joke about either me wearing spandex or you know, women wearing like yoga pants or something. I don't know.
Sure.
Either way, it was funny to me, and so I appreciate that.
You got 2
I'm gonna write
laughs.
that down. I got to. That's what I like about having shitty hearing is like I'll mishear somebody, and if something is funny to me for one reason, and then I realize that it was something else, then it's
Right.
funny again. It's like reliving that moment again, and that's special to me.
You're
So
reliving it again for the first time.
yeah. So Jerry, do you want me to tell
Yes.
a story real quick? Because I got a couple
Yeah.
here, and I don't know which ones we want to talk about because I've got something that's newsworthy,
Okay.
and then
Wow.
and I don't know if we're gonna talk about. So I've been doing, yeah, we'll do this one for school because today was
Okay.
so I've been subbing, right, and the first day I get there, they put me in. This is the first day that I've subbed this school year because I had to finish my school Friday, and that was my last day. So I wanted to make sure that all that shit was done before I started subbing.
Oh right.
And
Yeah.
so I signed up for the full week at this middle school, and this is like the bad kid middle school, right? It's where all the bad kids go. Not only because it's the bad neighborhood, but so it's like the demographics are what you would imagine they are, and quite a few Muslims and Congolese, right? People from the Congo. Because apparently that's like a huge demographic in our area. I don't know why, but they all speak
Really?
these African languages and French because
I
of the
thought
French.
they all went to Minnesota, but I guess.
Well, you would. I think Somalia does, but
That's
Congo
true, yeah.
apparently comes to Kentucky out of all places. Which I guess like I would be just as confused if somebody asked me like, well, why do the skinnies go to Minnesota? I would say I don't know.
They want to wear big coats.
I guess so that they don't look so malnourished.
Yeah,
and shit.
no, they're bigger.
They're just like, no,
Go
I'm
down
a
the
regular.
street.
I'm a regular person, and then they like take their jacket off and they're like a rail or whatever, walking around.
Could
It's a
you
coat
imagine them
rack.
going in-
It's a coat rack and just wearing a coat, and there's like,
Dude, they're like going into Burlington Coat Factory, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll take a size. Excuse me, wait. I'll take a size extra large. You know,
who's whispering? Who's in this? They're like, who said that? Who is that?
Excuse me, I'll take a size extra large.
Who opened a window? All I hear is the whisks of the wind.
It's an elderly woman who's had many children silently gently queefing.
Jerry.
Is that what that is? What? It's
Queefing.
just very.
That's a topic we don't even discuss on this show.
It's a very specific. I'm
we've
sorry.
not- we've never really dealt with that. That's kind of like
Look,
that's one
Tom.
of those taboo discussions, Jerry. Are you ready to open the door on queefing conversations on this
Am
show?
I ready to open the gray floodgates of that topic? Well, Tom, listen. I'm sorry. I know maybe not all of us are ready for that, and I, frankly, don't know if I'm ready for that. It's just ever since I heard, and I think you know what I'm talking about, Tom. Ever since I heard that, sorry.
Get a tissue. Take your time.
Ever since I heard
Oh.
that, in December, Tom, we celebrate holidays. We celebrate the end of the year. We, of course, celebrate the Christ. But in December, we're gonna have a sad moment, Tom. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
It's just that Anthony Fauci has resigned, and
And
he's
queefing
leaving.
reminded you of.
Yes, if you look at his ears and you don't think queefing, you There's probably something wrong with you.
I've never looked at Anthony Fauci's
You've probably
ears,
been jabbed.
but that's probably, you know what? It might be because like I don't believe in queefing. All right, I don't.
Oh, you've never. Oh,
Can you imagine like somebody who just doesn't believe in a medical or like a natural body?
just a
I don't
bodily
believe in heart
function, yeah.
attacks. I don't believe in heart attacks or cystic fibrosis. I don't believe in.
I didn't believe in heart attacks until I got the jab and started queefing.
Just constant. That's another. It's symptom of the jab.
Could you imagine? Nobody looked on page 7A.
No, there
Whoa.
it is, queefing. I
whole
doubt
thing.
that that's actually the word that would be used in like a medical text.
Oh, dude,
can
are
you
you
imagine
kidding?
the person who goes in and they're just like, I got vaccinated 2 weeks ago, and I have just had this uncontrolled queefing, right?
Right.
And then they have to write that down with the doctor. How do you explain that? Okay, all right, Jerry, you are a woman.
Oh, okay, yep.
You're a woman. And
Obviously.
You vaccinated or not, you go into the doctor because
Right.
you have uncontrollable queefing. How do you describe that to the doctor without using the word queefing?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So, hi, doctor. Yes, I got to tell you, I've had something inside of me
Building up.
just build up and release, and build up and release. Well, if I'm going to put it to you, it's like a horse whispering through a barn. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were
Like-
going to say it was like somebody from Ethiopia trying to order coats at Burlington Coat Factory.
Imagine for a second if an Ethiopian guy tried to get into an extremely large coat and farted.
It's muffled by the many coats that he's wearing. Oh, Jerry, what have we become? What has this show become that we're talking about queefing? Disgusting.
I
How
think
foul,
we,
Jerry.
well, look, Tom. Here's what happens: is after a couple of weeks, we have to catch up on the hard issues we missed, such as the final landing spot of certain Africans in parts of our nation, their attire. No, Tom. See, listen. In the 2 weeks that we've been off, I found out that the people in Minnesota have big FUBU jackets, but in Kentucky, the Congolese wear old school starter jackets from 1985.
Yeah, they do. We are behind the times. Well, not us. Well, okay. So Kentucky is behind the times, very much so.
Mhm.
But the Congolese students in our schools are even further. So they're like in the mid 90s right now.
Well,
Whereas,
Tom, do you
like,
know
most
do you know
kids
why
are
that is?
Mid 2000s, right?
Do you know why that is?
I don't.
All right, so check this out, right? They stay behind for this reason, right? So you live in the Congo, and let's say every February, March, you get these T-shirts from the United States, and they are all celebrating the victor of the Super Bowl.
Right.
And unbeknownst to them,
It's the loser.
it was the losers, right? So then when they get to America, they're like, I'm wearing the same shirt from 15 years ago when the Buffalo Bills beat the Dallas Cowboys. I would like a Buffalo Bills starter jacket from that era, please, to match my shirt of the champions. You know what I mean?
And do they
Like-
also, when they order it though, does it sound more like?
Yeah, well, ironically, when they speak, it sounds more like a horse whispering through a barn.
All right. Enough with the queef jokes. I think we've sufficiently beat that dead horse whispering in the barn.
Only
We beat
between
him.
her legs.
You know,
You know
that's
what
what
I
it
mean?
sounds like. It's when you're beating a dead horse in a barn and it releases its last breath through the barn. That is the sound of a queef, to me, from what I understand.
That's the sound of
if
a
they
queef.
existed, if queefs existed, or heart attacks.
It's like that. Do you remember that oldie song?
Mm-mm.
That's the sound of a queef.
I was gonna say,
or a house, or a horse.
no, it's an Ice Cube song. That's the sound of a queef, queef,
Oh.
right? Remember? That's the sound of a queef, queef. That's the sound of a
Oh.
something queef. It's something queef. I don't know what it is. I don't remember.
I see. I thought it
I
was
don't know.
a. I thought it was a. Oh, was it Warren G? Or no?
That's the sound of the police. But
It ain't nothing but a queef thing, baby.
just replacing random words in a song
Yeah.
with queef. That's the thing. That's the thing in the Discord. If you haven't already, I need you to take a lyric from a song and replace one word in it with the word queef, or from the Star Wars movies. You know how like every once in a while you see that pop up where it's like change one word from a Star Wars quote and replace it with, you know, or add you stupid bastard. That's one of my favorites. It's like, you piece of shit. That's what it was. It was like at the end, take a quote from Star Wars and add you piece of shit at the end of it, and whoever has the best one wins or whatever. And it was like, it's over, Anakin, you piece of shit, or I have the high ground, Anakin, you piece of shit. So like you do stuff like that, but like let's change a lyric to include the word queef, or a line from Star Wars. Just change a word out to have queef, and whichever one is the funniest wins or whatever. I don't know what they win, but they win a starter jacket from the Buffalo Bills in the 90s.
If you bequeath that, then you are truly lost.
I will queef what I must. So these
strike me down, and I will be
queef
and I will
me down,
become queefier. I will become queefier than you ever could ever imagine.
You could really replace any lyric. It's like your queefs are impressive. You must be very proud. Is one that I just off the top of my head. That was the first one I thought of. The Attack of the Clones is so the queefs. Attack of the Queefs. I was still thinking of queefs instead of clones. It's so quotable. But no, these kids, these queefs, right? They're the bad queefs.
Oh yeah, the bad kids.
And they and so they I ended up there. I didn't know much about the school other than like my old neighbor, my ex neighbor. Her kids, one of her kids went there, and they had to remove that kid from that school because it was just so bad. And then I was like,
oh, I thought they were bad. Oh, okay.
Well, so that's the thing. I was like, well, he belongs there. I was like, every one of those kids that I dealt with is just like that little shit. Like everybody thought that he was like this okay kid or whatever. Like, oh, he's a good kid. But that's what every mother says about their kid, right? But like I had seen that kid and the influence that he had on my kids, and I was like, that kid is a piece of shit. And I don't say that about really any kids. But like he belonged in that school, so
yeah. You usually call him like the F word and stuff, you know.
Right, and you had me at queef foot. Mike said.
There it is.
And X gonna queef it to you. Queef gonna give it to you.
Queef Latifah.
Where the queef at?
God save the queef.
God save the queef. Yeah, we could just go all day. I feel like that's going to be the thing tonight in the Discord, where we're going to like all try to outdo each other or out-queef each other. But so I subbed there. The first day that they have me there, they put me in the special ed room because they saw my packet and they were like, oh, this is a special ed guy. Like he belongs there. He'll fit right in, right?
Yeah, they were thinking, can we use? Wait, did they? Let me ask you this, Tom.
He can speak to these people. He's one of them.
Well, see, this is what I said. I don't want to accuse you of anything.
Of being retarded.
And if you feel like I'm endangering you, like double tap on the mic. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just wondering, is this a situation where you're let's say, I cannot remember the name of the movie. This is fucking up the joke so much. Are you either Channing Tatum or Jonah Hill in this particular situation?
Am I Drew Barrymore and Never Been Kissed?
Right. Are you Drew Barrymore and Never Been Kissed? Are you infiltrating this school, as a narc, trying to get in and So what you were saying is that you were more like Coolio in the video for Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. I was gonna say
Right.
Mekhi Phifer, who's like you could swap them out for one another, and it would be the
Totally.
same movie. I think. Like I would watch What Lies Beneath with Harrison Ford and Mekhi Phifer. I would watch that movie. Or Grease too, right? Wasn't she in Grease too? Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was.
Oh, I thought you
Grease
meant.
2.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant Grease 2, as in TWO, but you meant also, or no.
No,
I'm
Grease
sorry.
2. Yeah, the second
I
one.
meant.
She
I
was
thought
in the
you meant
sequel.
also. You meant
The sequel.
TWO.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
nobody watched the sequel to Grease except for like
No.
a bunch of really disappointed fans of the first Grease back in the 70s, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's it. Those are the only people. That
Literally
watched
no one else. It's if you go to their IMDb page, it's just nothing but complaints misspelled in caps.
it. It's people who never watched it, saying this is not for me because it's got Mekhi Phifer in it. It's not Mekhi Phifer. It's Michelle Pfeiffer. It was the wrong Pfeiffer, who starts with an M. But these. So yeah, I infiltrated the retard class. Drew Barrymore, and I made out with some of the retards. But no, they put me there, and like they put me as a paraeducator, which I'm like, that's
21
I'm like,
Keefe Street.
listen, I was like, I will do just about anything for money.
Oh.
I'm shameless, right?
Wow.
But I will not take less than my $90 after tax for a teaching gig, right? That's like because I have it worked out. I'm creating this budget of like how I can pay back this hawk house that I'm making, and so if the paraeducators make less, like a fair amount less than the regular substitute teachers, so I'm like, I won't take any gigs that aren't full blown like teaching positions. Full blown aides. I'm out there bug chasing for sub roles, right? And so when they put me in a paraeducator spot, I had to like
imagine you. I can't even. I'm like, this is fucked up. But like, since you said
do it,
that,
Barry.
I'm trying to imagine. I can't actually imagine Tom, you, right? But as soon as you said it, like, I'm out there bug chasing for this Falcon house, and I'm just imagining you sitting there, like a guy in your position, let's say, out there actually bug chasing with a leather belt in his mouth with one of those balls things, going, no, pinned to the ground, just going, caw-caw. Or I don't know what, like just doing as they're getting completely pummeled in the
that's why
butthole.
they wear those Falcon sex hats, right? Remember we talked about that?
Right.
They were like the Falcon sex hats, and then like, but I would put it on my ass, right?
Right.
And let the
And
Falcon,
you would wear the safety gloves because each one of these guys has AIDS.
They would fuck my ass hat.
Right.
And Jin said, "Jerry, do you mean 21 Queef Street?" Is the movie you were thinking of?
That's exactly what I was
And
thinking.
Jadogi said, I'm more like John Lovitz in High Queef High.
Oh,
And
that
then-
movie! By the way, that movie was so funny.
I've never watched it. I remember it came out, but I'm a little bit
Mm-hmm.
younger than you are, so like I was probably in middle school when it came out. You were probably in, your fourth year.
I
of your
graduated,
doctorate. Yeah. So,
Right.
but no, I told them I actually called the like the main sub person or whatever, and I was
Sure.
like, hey man, honestly,
You
this is
son of a
about
bitch.
money. I was like, this is about money for me. Okay, I want to clarify. Like, I was like, I just want to make sure that I'm not being paid for a paraeducator position because honestly, like, I'll do anything for $90 after tax, but like, if you're paying me for a paraeducator position, I'm not into it. I will fucking leave right now, and I'll go watch a movie or something. I'll go do something else, literally anything else. But I stuck
Did you
around.
say it to him like that, or did you say it like, "Excuse me, if I don't get 4 apples,
Well, I
don't
was
go."
in character, right? I couldn't. I
Right.
couldn't, I
That's
couldn't.
what I mean.
Yeah,
Because
I had to do
you're
it.
saying it in a very intelligent way now, but I'm sitting here wondering if you said it like, "Excuse me, if I
I
don't
couldn't
get
blow
them."
my cover, Jerry. I was in too deep, right? At that point, I was
If I don't
wearing a
get-
helmet and a wheelchair and shit. Yeah.
If I don't get some crackers in jail, I'm going to pee on your car.
And then as soon as they like walked away,
That's what
as
you
soon
said.
as the other person walked away, I was like, "All right, you motherfucker, right? I need my $90." And then they were like, "No, you're getting paid the $90." I was like, "All right, cool. I'll hang out with these folks or whatever." Because like the thing is,
Okay.
like they had these were like some
Well, that's
seriously like half of them honestly were like pretty high functioning people. Like I was like,
Mhm.
what is their problem that they're in here? Like why is this person in here? But it was
Hey.
like ADHD, but they mixed the ADHD kids in
Mm-hmm.
with like the people who are like really retarded, right? Like the ones who are in chairs that have to be
What?
pushed around. And like one of them, he was like very like I don't know if he had like some kind of muscular disease where he just didn't have muscles. So he had to like, you had to like hold him by his belt to walk him places, but most of the time he sat in a wheelchair.
Wait.
And wore a helmet and shit. But then like
Wow.
some of the other kids were just very difficult. And honestly, it like blew my mind because it made me realize that like, it made me kind of like put myself in that position, not because I was like infiltrating them or whatever, but because like I put myself in that position. I'm like, man, I was like, I wonder what is going through their heads, because like they get it, they hear what I'm saying, and they know like every once in a while. So I'm like, I wonder what that fleeting moment is that hits them, that they're like, oh, he's talking to me and this is what he said and I'm going to react that way, instead of like the 90% of the time where they're just like totally oblivious to the shit around them.
Do you not know?
Like,
I've actually researched this. Did you know?
Yeah, talk to me. Tell me. Explain this to me, Jerry.
Yeah, so the great part is, I mean, obviously it's a tragedy that they, live out their lives.
It's like a regional tragedy.
Yes, it's a regional tragedy. That
Retards are a regional tragedy.
It's just
more like a local tragedy. It's
dude,
very
by the way,
centrally located.
I saw this the other day. I don't remember if it was Australia or New Zealand, but one of their areas. I know they don't have like states and shit, but like whatever.
Yeah, provinces or whatever.
Province or whatever it is. One of them actually assigned a minister of autism because they have so many autistic kids or people that in that one area they actually literally came up with a minister of autism. And the guy was like someone, like a local news jockey or whatever was interviewing, let's say, the highest minister or whatever it was, and he's like, so listen, you guys just made up a a minister of autism. No one else has that. Can you fucking explain yourself? Like, what is going on? And he's just like, apples. I don't know.
Well, he's highly functioning on it, so.
Oh, right. He's like, 2 apples. So anyway, so I'll tell you this, Tom. Basically, what they hear, at least initially, when they're speaking to you, when you're speaking to them, I should say, is
I don't speak to them.
Oh, you speak like at them.
Yeah.
It's actually, I don't know if you know this. Do you remember the not claymation, but it was like a stop motion animation Santa Claus movie, where it was Rudolph, and of course Santa was prominently in that stop motion animation from the 80s or whatever. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You sound like the Santa, except talking to an elf and only about toys they've recently heard of.
Oh. Is this a real thing, or are you fucking with me? Because sometimes I wonder.
No, this is true. So I've seen this. There are actually, I think I've mentioned this before on the show, there are channels for somewhat functioning people in our society on YouTube where they do
less capable.
where they I mean, who am I to judge, right? So San Franciscans, I don't know. So no.
Oh, so like the people with AIDS.
Right. Living on
We're
the
back
streets.
to bug chasers again.
Well, hey, listen, everybody has
always
a goal.
circles back to bug chasers.
Mm-hmm. That's
Our
right.
jokes always end up back at gay sex and AIDS.
So, guys, did you hear one about the autistic?
The gay retard.
The autistic Hungarian who is wearing a starter jacket from 1985. Guy was chasing bugs. All right,
oh, gayer
and
than cum on a mustache.
No, wait. Wait. Did you hear about the Congolese guy wearing the starter jacket from 1985 Super Bowl? He was chasing bugs, and this time it wasn't for food, motherfucker.
Oh! Drop. Do you have a mic, Jerry? Oh, you can't hear me. It doesn't matter. I can call you all sorts of names right now.
I realized very quickly that the effect of throwing my headphones was not going to be as cool to you as to me.
Well, you know what? I still saw it, and I said some pretty hurtful things about you when I knew that the headphones were off and you couldn't hear me.
You know what the worst part is? I almost
did. I was trying to think of something really funny to say, like, I don't know, like, Jerry, you know, I've had these feelings for you all these years. Like, while the headphones were off or whatever. And then as soon as you came back on, be like, oh, still doing the thing, but I fucked it up.
Dude, you know what the worst part is? Could you imagine if you had done that and I'd sit here for the entire rest of the show and then have to rewind back to the, like, I'd have to timestamp
You'd never
it right
know.
now, and then just go back. You know, an hour and a half ago he told me I was
you text me and you're like, did you profess your love to me on the air or like on the live stream? Like, what was that? And I'd be like,
yeah,
what?
Did you say
because I
something
immediately forget what we talk about on the show. Like, as soon as it's over, that's why I have to take notes.
Yeah. Dude, that's what, like, did you just say that you kiss a mirror and you think of my puckering asshole? Did you say that on the show?
I've said it in text, like. Anyways, let me wrap up.
Yeah, sorry, you have the story. I'm sorry. This is
we've taken so
being
long just telling
derailed.
one story, and that's what's funny is like my joke is not even that funny, but what we've
no.
done with it is actually pretty funny.
Then it was here for a reason.
So no, today was kind of like a special day. Yesterday was pretty like.
Of course
whatever.
it is. You were working with those kids.
No, that was 2 days ago. I'm just
okay.
dealing with the troubled kids like today and yesterday. Yesterday they were like pretty average, like they're pretty normal kids. But then today I had like the real troublemakers that sit out. You know how they like have the school proper, and then they have the sheds out back where they like take the really troublesome kids so that they don't distract the good kids, right? And like good kids is kind of like a subjective term here because like none of the kids are good kids there. But anyways,
beaten down.
Right, you take them out back, and that way, if they act stupid, you can whoop their asses with a rubber hose, and then like none of the other kids really hear all the screaming and the gnashing of teeth and shit. So that's where they had me today, and it was a teacher who was like brand new. It was her kids, so like they were still pretty wild, and they're always wild with the sub because they can be. And so sometimes I have to get loud with them or whatever. I have to scold them or whatever. And I just like what I do is I pick the biggest kid in the class and I threaten to send him to the principal's office, right? Or I beat them up, right? And then I go in and I find the biggest kid and I whoop his ass. And then and then the other kids they know, I'm like, you saw what just happened there, right?
Then you find his mom. Like, I whip her ass too.
And then I beat.
I mean,
her
not his
down,
dad.
too.
His dad's rather sizable.
Well, yeah, their dads always are. Well, their dads are seldom in the picture because, like I told you, these are Congolese kids, right? So they're not like white kids. You know what I mean?
They didn't get their papers.
So, but they were like trouble. They were like the real trouble kids today, and some of them were like, and I hate to say this, but they exist, right? Stupid kids, right? There are kids who are stupid.
Come on.
You know, I'll tell you what, I'm blessed. My kids are very bright. They got that from my wife. They got that from their mothers. From their mothers, as if I have multiple baby mamas. No, I'm a white guy. Come on. So,
hey, you could do it if you tried. Have you thought about wearing a starter jacket?
I believe in you, Tom. You could have multiple baby mamas.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you have to pay for anything.
No, I just have to I have to like volunteer at a refugee camp, right? And then I could like rummage through their shit while they're sleeping. Take their starter jackets. And then they see me the next morning. What are they going to do? They're 14 pounds. Like, what are they going to do? So there was a girl who in the class, dumber than she was like probably on the border of like she should have been in that special ed class, but like she had and it made me realize that it's not the first time that I've seen a stupid person wearing a shirt that was like awesome. Overly ambitious, right? Where it was like this one, it was a college shirt, right? And it was I don't know, one of the local universities or like Northern Kentucky University, and so it's like a public state school or whatever, which I mean requires minimal, like you have to still meet their ACT and SAT requirements, which I know she wouldn't. And but she was wearing this shirt for the local university.
Dude, the fact that you said that with such certainty actually breaks my heart a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you why I said that. She came up to me. I wrote down the conversation like right after it happened because I'm like, this is the most absurd fucking thing that has happened to me in all of my substitute career. I mean, it's not very long, but
sure.
They gave them busy work, right? These worksheets, they're like word searches. They were literally like,
dude, come on.
I'm not kidding. They were like when I looked at them and when they had a hard time with them, I'm like, I wanted to be like, you guys understand that this is 7th grade that I was teaching, right? Or that I was
no.
subbing for.
Okay.
And I was
All
like,
right.
this is like 3rd grade shit. Like my youngest son would do this sort of thing. Like I would give this to my youngest son if he was being kind of difficult and I just wanted him to like go sit at the table or whatever for a little while. Just busy work. That's what it is. And he would get it.
Sure,
And he would
yeah.
be done with it
Like,
within
don't
an hour.
kill people. Here, do this.
Right. That's all it was. And it honestly was, okay, so for instance, one of them was like a license plate. You had to guess what the license plate said. It was just like
Come
vanity
on,
plates.
dude.
No, I'm serious. It was like custom vanity plates. And one of them was the letter C space, the letter U space, and then
Right.
L8R.
Stop
Right,
it,
so it was a see you
dude.
later, right? And that was what it was, and it was like a bunch of those. One of them was like the number 1, DRFL. So if you read it, it's wonderful, right? So very basic shit where like you look at it and you do your best, and like they came up to me and I'm like, okay, I get it. I'll explain this to you or whatever. Have you ever seen a
What?
license plate on the road when they're driving and you see it and it says like Granny's van, but it says GRNYSVN, you know, and you're like, oh, that says Granny's van, and you try to like guess what it says, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, that's what you're doing here, and they're like, okay, got it. What's this one? One driffle, and I was like, is one driffle a word? And they're like, is it?
Is it even 2 words?
And I said,
You know?
it is not a word. One driffle is not a word. What else sounds like one driffle?
Tom, can I
like,
stop you?
might be here. And I
Because in the streets, one driffle is a word.
was- one driffle. Talk to me. What is one driffle?
Well, yeah. So, if they say, look, I can't, I need something. I need some, right? And they're like, how much? They're like, oh, man, I ain't got no money. Can I just get one driffle?
Can I get one for a driffle? One driffle?
Can I just one driffle? Can I just
need
get one driffle?
driffle to get me through this.
One driffle, just get me, I got to get to my job and I'll pay you. Just one
I'm
driffle.
on my way. My wife is at the airport, and I swear I will mail you back the money to pay for this driffle.
See?
Yeah,
Dude,
but so
you've
I
been
didn't
there.
know
You know what I'm
that
talking
because
about.
I grew up in the suburbs, right?
Right.
So these kids don't know that. I mean, they live in a city
You
of
wore
30,000.
current team starter jackets.
I normally work in like a kind of like small town suburbia elementary school where like the kids they have higher, I mean, they're smarter than these kids, right? But so
I can't
and so this girl, she was the one who was like one driffle, and believe it or not, there was another person who asked me, one driffle, what is that? And
Stop it.
I'm like, okay, it's
Dude.
wonderful, right? Wonderful is a word. And there were a few of but it was a very easy, it was just busy work, right? And I'm like, just do your best, work on it, because some of these kids are like English as a second language. So the Congolese kids, right, and the Arabic kids. And so
I was gonna say, what, the kids from Louisville? What?
Yeah, no, those kids, they're not even English as in any language, right? They
Right.
They speak like a special dialect of like barely functioning, and they end up having to go into the slow class, the special ed class. But so I dealt with this girl, and she was like, she asked me this one question. I wrote down the chat log, right? She said, "How do I do?" Okay, so it was a word search, all right, for palindromes. Like noon, dad, mom, kook, toot, whatever, boob, right? Boob is a palindrome. But like it was just a word search, and you just had to find palindromes in it. And so she came up to me and she's like, what is this? How do I do this? I don't know how to do this.
Same girl.
Yeah, and she said, and she wasn't the only one. There was like one person from every class who did this. They're like, I don't know how to do this. And I said, okay. Did you read the instructions? And they said, yes. And I said, okay. So what are you not getting? And she's like, I don't know what this word is. And I'm like, palindrome. That's a tough word. I was like, it's palindrome. And she said, okay, well, what is a palindrome? And I'm like, again, I have to ask you, did you read the instructions? And she said, yes. And I said, do me a favor and read the instructions to me right now, out loud. And she said, okay. And she like stumbled on the word palindrome again because it's the first word. And I said palindrome.
Right.
And she said, a palindrome is a word that is spelled the same forward and backward. And I said, so there's your answer, a palindrome. That's what a palindrome is, right? And she said, okay.
Yeah.
Now, and then it says, in this word search, find 30 palindromes, right? And whatever, circle them. And then below, write the words that you find in the table that they've built of like 30 blanks that you can fill them in. And so she says, okay. So she reads it to me, and she's like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm like, continue reading. And she says, circle all the palindromes. And she reads it to me, and I'm like, so did you read the instructions? And she's like, oh, I get it now. So do I have to do the bottom part? And I'm like, what do the instructions say? And she said, well, it doesn't say anything about the bottom. And I'm like, can you read the instructions for me again real quick? Just read them out loud for me. And she said, and she struggled with the word palindrome again, which I'm like, okay, I get it. Palindrome is, and she said a palindrome is a word that's spelled frontward and backward, same. So circle 30 palindromes and then write them in the table below. And I said, so what does it say? What is the last sentence? And she said, well, it says, and write them below. I said, so that's what you do. You write them, when you circle them, you write them in the bottom. And she said, oh, okay. But like I said, she wasn't the only one that asked that question. Some of them were like English as a second language kids, so I'm like, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, I'll teach you what a fucking palindrome is, because I know that you don't know palindromes, and B, like, you're just learning English. But this girl, she asked me about
this is 7th grade
thing. This is 7th grade, yeah. And she goes, at a certain point, she said she still didn't understand, and I said, I don't know how to break it down any further for you. Right? Like, I gave up because I'm like, I have kind of combed this paper. I've spent more time with you on this than like anything else in my entire life, and I don't know. And I've like studied some subjects that I still don't understand to this day. I'm like, but I've spent more time on this. I don't know what to tell you. So
you have cloaks to prove it.
I said, I don't really know how to break this down any further. And so she said, what does a palindrome mean? And I said, well, what does the instructions say? She said, it doesn't say.
Come on.
And I said, read them for me out loud. She did. She read, a palindrome is a word that is spelled the same forward and backward. And I went, huh. And she goes, right, but what do we do? And I said, well, what is... That's what it was. I said, what does it say at the top of the paper? And she said, well, it doesn't say. And I'm like, can you just read the words at the top of the paper? And she said, word search. And I'm like, huh. So, and she said, do we write the words at the bottom? I said, what does the instructions say? She said, it doesn't say. And I'm like, can you read them out loud for me?
Stop it.
And then it says, when you find the word right at the bottom. And I went, huh. And so, like, that was kind of the conversation, how it went down. And I told these kids, right?
Can I ask you a question? You may not have the answer to this. How many of them have kids already?
Probably a few of them. I don't know. This girl was also pretty heavy set too. There was actually a girl who was like,
okay, so she was
looked
hiding
like
her
a
kids.
Teenager.
Oh,
and like I looked at her and I'm like, what is she, like a middle school senior? Like, what is going on with this girl? Like, she's like taller than I am, right? But anyways, this girl, she had a shirt on that it said Northern Kentucky University. And I wanted to say, like, your parents must be as ambitious as you are stupid, because, like, why are you wearing that shirt? That's like, it's like when you buy your kid a shirt that says future doctor or whatever, but like your kid is in a wheelchair. You're like, okay, this guy's not going to be a fucking doctor, right? He's wearing a helmet and he's in the special ed class. You're like, that kid is not going to be a doctor. I'm just assuming, right?
Dude, do you think? And I think this is maybe where faith comes in. I'm not sure. I don't know. You have to tell me. Do you think it would be inappropriate / probably something either you or I would do if we had a kid with disabilities to that degree, right? In like, and you're taking them out and you're like, all right, look, this is a lot of hustle. There's a lot of struggle to just go to Target, right?
Right.
And then you go, all right, I'm gonna have to do something for me. you know what I'm saying? And so then do you put them in that shirt?
And just pretend? Like, do you like, as an adult, you play pretend? Is that what
you're saying?
Dude,
I'm just saying that's a really funny fucking joke. Because, you know what I mean? Like, if it's your kid and you're like, come on, guys, isn't that? Come on. That's
we
funny.
know that he's not.
And then you can say, like, stupid shit. You can be like, he picked it out himself. Come on.
Yeah, but it's like for you to play pretend.
Well, yeah, it's like, yeah, because then you have to, and then maybe you force interact with other people, and you go, oh, here's my buddy, here's my little, here's my
doctor.
Here's my little Sam. Yeah, here's my little Sam. I had to pull him away from his triple computer or whatever the fuck it is you're using in that room, eh, buddy? Not because his hands don't work. They do. One finger on each hand. Some
of it.
But
like 10%.
yeah, one of them. The one in his nose. That one works. But you know what I mean? I know it's wrong, right? And it may be kind of, you know, I don't know, evil a little bit. I don't know.
I feel a little bad picking on these kids, but I mean, like
using your own kid as a prop. I don't care about these. You know, this conversation's been hilarious. I don't.
You know what? We talked about this a little bit earlier about how kids you know, they've never been told that they're wrong because we live in a generation where American Idol exists, right?
Yeah, but Tom, I have to tell you, the way that you're describing them, how many times are you gonna fucking say it?
But that's what I'm saying. Like American Idol, people watched American Idol strictly so they could see Simon say, "You are absolutely a piece of shit.
You are
awful. You're the worst. Yeah. You've never make it in Hollywood." You know, like that's why we watched it, was so that we could see Simon Cowell shit talk these kids who, like, I'm sure have very supportive family members who were like, "Honey, you're so good at singing. Like, get out there and put yourself out there. And I mean, there's only one way we're gonna know if you're gonna make it to Hollywood, and that's if you get in front of them and you just do your best, right?
That's
you know,
right.
and like, and you know, I love your singing. I think it's amazing. I think you're a gifted singer. You know, and it's like, whereas like I would never tell my kids, "Hey, man, you're so good at, I don't know, like working on cars. Like you should go and compete in a, because we've never worked on cars together, right? Like I don't know,
sure.
But like they're like, "Hey, Dad, check this out. I can turn a wrench," and I'm like, "You sure can, buddy." But then he's like, "I want to go on, I don't know what car competition shows there are, but like I want to go do like a car show. I want to get like a car." I'm like, "But you don't know the first fucking thing about fixing cars," right? Like I'm gonna be the guy who to tell them. But there are kids, right? And people are out there telling their kids, "Honey, you're so good at singing. Like everything about your singing is amazing." And which is one thing. Yeah, you should support your kids and try to encourage them to get better at something. And it'd be like, "Hey, keep plugging away at it, keep working at it. I'll help you where I can." But like when you get to a point where you're like, "Let's go to fucking Hollywood and let's put you on the world stage and let's see what let's you know, I want the world to see that you've got chops, kiddo, right?" Like,
do you think that's a dare?
I don't know. It's gotta be.
Like, dude, like, say, imagine, right? You're one of those fucking assholes who let their kids just do whatever they want in public, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't want to say there are particular people I'm thinking of, but you know, you're like in public, and then your child just starts loudly singing, right? It's interrupting every conversation in like a 90 foot radius, and you know, someone's just like, and you're a parent who's delusional in that they don't care about the rudeness of it all, right?
Yeah.
But they also kind of know, like, all right, I gotta save face a little bit here, right? And then they go, "Oh yeah, so whatever your name is, totally awesome singing, not at all inappropriate and rude and weird at all," right? "You're so great, you could be on the TV or whatever." And then someone finally has had enough of this shit, and they go, "Is that right? You think they should be on TV?" You know, and then like it just escalates from there, and next thing you know, this fucking asshole mom, you know, with their piece of shit kid is on television getting exactly what they deserve because they couldn't back down from an argument in ShopRite or whatever.
But that's where we're at as a nation. I hate to say that. As a nation, we're at that point.
And you're there to save them, Tom. That's the thing.
Well, you know, I don't mean to like pat myself on the back, but I did have an outburst yesterday, actually. I want to make sure. The other thing that happened today was like, I actually said, this is like the one thing that I did. Like I just like blurted out because I was so, it was at the end of the day, and I just like blurted it out because I was so fucking fed up with some of these kids. Like I had told them, I'm like, "Hey man, we're going to work on these 5 pages. Just work on them at your own pace. You can work with your peers, you know, just work on them. If you don't get it done, you know, you take it home for homework," which I didn't make them take it home for homework. I was just like, just turn it in.
True. I can't even believe that's the thing. I can't.
But yeah, I just had them turn it back in because I'm like, you don't need to like homework. Come on. But I just wanted them to work during that hour. Right. and
Yeah.
to concentrate on it, because that way I could sit on my phone and fucking goof off or whatever. and again, it was just like I realized that was going to be the tone of the day after I like dealt with the first class, and I'm like, oh, these are the fucking troublemakers. And so I'm like, hey man, work on these papers, keep the volume at a minimum. You can chat with your friends, but if it gets too loud, I'm gonna fucking, I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna say something, and if you continue to be loud, I'm gonna kick you out of here or whatever. I'm gonna send you to the office. I don't give a shit. And so like I gave them that work, and like at the end of the day, it was literally 5 minutes until the end of the period, and somebody came up to me, and it was like a kid with English as a second language. He came up to me and he said, "What do I do?" And I'm like, "Okay." Well, I started explaining it to him, and he's like, "Well, I don't know how to read that well." No, you know what? As a matter of fact, it was a white kid too. And so it wasn't an English as a second language kid. So he comes up to me, and I knew he had been sitting there on his Chromebook.
Okay.
He had been sitting there on his Chromebook bullshitting the whole time. And they were playing like what looks like NBA Jam. I don't know what game it is, but they were playing this like basketball game. And he said, "I don't know what to do." And I said, "Okay." I tried to explain to him. He's like, "Well, I can't read that well." And I said, "You forgot that you didn't know how to read until the last 5 minutes of class? Like, did you just now realize that you don't know how to read?" And he's just like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "I saw you playing your game all hour. Just be honest with me and tell me that you blew off the assignments like the whole hour." And I'm like, and I think like there were a couple of them that I did send it home, and I told them that it was homework or whatever, just because they were pains in the asses or whatever. But anyways, gosh, I was gonna say something, but I did want to get that last little bit out. Oh fucking well, Jerry. I haven't taken my shot, and Mike is gonna get on to me if I don't take my shot. My other thing that I want to
took his shot.
He took his shot. Oh, Mike. All right, let's do the shot. What are we cheersing to, Jerry?
Oh, we're cheersing to the children.
To the future, right?
To our future.
Children are the future.
Our immediate future, frankly.
This is my wife went to the Pitbull concert last night, and she brought Fireball because he does this song Fireball. I don't listen to like new Pitbull.
Oh yeah.
I only listen to old school Pitbull back when he was still like slinging rock and stuff. But like she got these Fireballs so that they could take shots before the show, and like somebody else also brought a bunch of Fireball shots because like
Sure.
Middle-aged moms think alike, I guess. So like they also brought, and it's like all her friends from the Y when they do.
Can I just say
and shit like that? So,
dude,
children, go ahead.
It is so incredible to me to get little bits and pieces of information about your wife, because there are these, we've talked off air or even on air a little bit, like how your wife had this like sort of concern over some of the, like, say the pictures on my wife's Instagram. Yeah. She's like, "What is that?" And you're like, "It's a joke, it's a joke. It's an edgy boy joke, and stuff." And so she has like, in my mind, it's like, here's this weirdly innocent woman who somehow is attached to you, right? Like she lives in this other world to kind of like balance you out in some way.
Yeah, she keeps me on the level.
Yeah, but then now you just come out with, "Nah, but she also went to a Pitbull concert."
Well, like, so here's the thing, Jerry.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Maybe you don't realize this about Pitbull. Is like
there's
old school Pitbull, like the Pitbull that I know and love, like Come See Me Pitbull, from like the early 2000s, and then there's Pitbull now, which is mostly samples of songs that have come and gone that you're like, oh, I remember that song, right? He samples those songs and then he uses them in his music, and has like people featured on his songs, but like none of the songs you would hear and be like, wow, that's a real banger.
That's Pitbull.
Yeah, that's a Pitbull song, right? That's a real banger. These are all songs that are used exclusively for Zumba, right? So like it's mostly middle-aged moms who are like working off baby weight, and they go and they dance to Pitbull. So I told her that the other day when she was going to Pitbull, the concert or whatever, and I said, "Do you think Pitbull, like back when he was slinging rock, right? Do you think that one day that like he knew that one day he was going to be like his target audience was going to be middle-aged, women,
like the parking lot at his shows would be full of minivans, you know?
Right, and that's what it was. And honestly, so there's like there's two groups, right? Because like one of the girls in my Sunday school class, she actually went too, because I'm friends with her mom on Facebook, and she posted a picture, and I was like, oh, she's going to the Pitbull concert. I was like, my wife is also going to the Pitbull concert, and
Right.
so like those are the two things. And my wife, she said, when I told her that, I was like, do you think that like he knew that one day his target demographic, or like that his primary demographic was going to be like middle-aged moms who were working off their baby weight in Zumba at the YMCA? And she was like, well, no, there's still some like there's like a big following of like guys who were also interested into his music. And I was like,
sure.
and then so when she said that, I think she like was using that as trying to get me jealous or get me to be like concerned about her going to this concert. But I was like, and instinctively I was, because I'm like, well, hold up, you better not fuck one of those guys in the porta potty at the Pitbull concert. Like that was like my first instinct.
Obviously.
I was like, I better not hear that you were fucking some guy at a Pitbull concert, right?
Yeah, really.
And I think my actual quote to her, or the actual thing that I said, I was like, you better not come home smelling like some other dude, because I will be furious, right?
If you smell even a little bit like Axe body spray, it's fucking over.
If you walk in that door and I catch a whiff of Phoenix Axe body spray, I'm gonna be livid, and I'm gonna be I'll be honest, I'm gonna be furious, and I might even raise my voice, right? I've never raised my voice on my wife, never. My wife.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 16 years, yeah, and nor have I raised my voice at my kids really either. So I'm like a big softie. Like I'll make grown men cry. When I was in the Army, I absolutely did. But like when it comes to my wife or my kids, I'm like,
yeah.
What did we learn today? Did we learn a valuable lesson? Right? You know, like I'm like Mr. Rogers when it comes to my kids or my wife. I'm like, well, you know, let's talk about this. Let's debrief. Let's figure this out together as a team, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I've raised my voice at your wife. You know.
I know, and I still haven't gotten over that. Frankly,
well,
I still hold a bit of a grudge from that.
I mean,
time
I can't.
You raised
I don't know why you're so mad. You asked me to. But,
I did. I paid you handsomely for you to raise your voice at my wife. My wife.
That was actually the deal. When I was still doing FOJ Live, Tom said, "Look, I'll wear your stupid bandana, but you got to do me a favor and yell at my wife."
Did I say my wife or did I say?
Oh, I'm sorry, my wife.
Speaking of bandanas, I do have my FOJ Live. I can't. So here's the thing. I have it sitting here next to me at the on my bookshelf, but I'm really looking forward to my first Fed post in Minecraft. UN blue helmet that I take out that I can like put it on my armband, right? Like on Terminator Salvation. Remember when Marcus puts the jacket on and he's got the red band on, and Kyle Reese is like, "How'd you get that red band? Did you earn it or whatever?" Like, and they earned it by killing one of the T-800s, and so I look forward to being able to tie. That's what I'm going to use it for. Like in my mind, I have this like plan for it. I'm going to use it.
Great.
That's going to be my tie that goes on my jacket whenever I take out my in Minecraft blue helmet.
Awesome.
So
of course, yeah. No.
What else do we need to talk about? Anything else? Because we got to get to the woobies. I know you've got some. I do.
Oh, dude,
I'll tell you what.
I went hard on these. Can I tell you?
Good. Let me do one thing real quick before we do, because it's been sitting in my thing forever.
Sure.
Well, I'll do one first. This is
okay.
Just a little piece, and you don't have to comment on it or anything, and I don't expect anybody to comment on it. But as you know, today, slow motion Joe Biden went ahead and approved the $10,000 student loan repayment thing, which my opinion on that matter, I'll make it very clear right now, is that I think if we were to, because they're paying $10,000 towards student loan repayment, which, as I understand it, applies to people who they don't necessarily have to have completed a degree, and like also the thing that they're trying to like justify it is that they're saying, hey, well, this is like an investment in the future, and which of America, which pisses me off, because I think personally, if it were me, which. So if it were about investing in America's future, it would be, hey, let's pay people who have at least an associate's level degree or equivalent or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say associate's level degree, of course, I'm thinking of our blue collar brothers and sisters who did like a journeyman or apprenticeship or whatever, and they got like some kind of community college, trade school type degree. So like some kind of 2-year program or above where they actually have a certificate to show for it. Because that way we are rewarding somebody who's committed, right? Who has actually stuck it out and completed the program that they started. Because when they say, hey, we're going to give everybody, $10,000, that rewards people who took out a loan for $40,000 and then use that money to buy a new car or whatever. I don't know. Like, because how student loans work is you could take out a loan and then it just it was a loan and you could just take that money and spend it on whatever the fuck you wanted, right?
That's right.
You were paying an exorbitant amount for the APR and the interest and all that shit, but people could do that. And so there are people who are going to get debt forgiveness for stuff that didn't go towards college. So I said, anybody who could prove that they have a diploma from an accredited school of some sort, I think that person should get $10,000. Because that way we're rewarding people who stick it out, not rewarding the people who quit and all that shit. Also, it eliminates that argument where people are like, well, where was this program? Where was this debt forgiveness when I paid off my loan because I was responsible and I made the right decision? It eliminates that argument altogether because everybody across the board fairly gets $10,000 the end. You can use it to pay back your debt, or you can use it to on something that you would have spent if you weren't paying off your debt, right? So that way it eliminates, and the people like me who had the GI Bill, I'm like, well, I can take that $10,000 and I could, I could pay back all the books that I bought, right? And that would about cover it. So, it eliminates that whole argument. So that's my big thing. But then I realized, I'm like, they're not trying to reward or buy workers, right? Because that rewards the workers. Workers don't vote Democrat. It's not. There are some who do, yeah, and there are some Democrats who do work. That's, for me to deal in absolutes, that's like a Sith thing, right? And I myself do identify somewhat Sithy, but I will say that that's like an absolute that I don't want to like.
That's true. I've heard you call yourself Mr. Sithy Pants.
Yeah, well, that's because I have a lisp. I was trying to say sissy pants, right? But so I think that's my answer to that whole thing. I'll save that other thing that's been sitting in my thing because I want to talk about it for a long time. Let's do the whoobies, Jerry. Go ahead.
And I just want to come out and say my opinion is that this is a continuing part of the ever escalating banana republic inflation of our dollar that is going to lead to a divide in the country because, let's say, I don't care how many millions of people benefited from this, they are mostly idiots or irresponsible people who took out a ton of money to go to a college for a degree that they were never going to use, even years after people started to do that. And frankly, 330 million people are going to have to pay ever higher taxes with a new force the size of the standing army of the Russians that are going to come armed to your door to come take more taxes from you and break the back of every single worker so they can't afford to feed their family, stay in their home, heat their house, and eventually we will own nothing and be never happier.
Yeah.
That's right. So that is a continuing part of this. Now, on to the good stuff. Okay, Tom, here we go.
Yeah, all that other stuff, like the stuff that I was involved in, bullshit. Let's move on.
No, I meant I'm trying to turn the. I know that I just brought it down a little bit, so I'm trying to, lift it back up. All right, Tom, we're going to open on a good one. It's actually somewhat tied to what we were just saying. Matter of fact, okay. Are you ready?
I've been ready. Yep.
All right, here we go. Quotes, blank. Opened.
Queef. The end.
Opened at blank building near Nashville prompts federal response. Blank. Opened at blank building near Nashville prompts federal response.
Okay. Let me put it on my face so that you know I'm not cheating or anything.
I was gonna say I can't see you. This is
I know.
Not,
I'm
I don't
sorry.
like it.
I'm
Yeah.
near Nashville. Prompts federal response.
That's
so instinctively, I think, as I was called out in the chat recently, I think fingering minor. No, I was called out this week. Somebody said, "Oh man, who was it? It was one of our dudes."
Was it Megabit or was it
No,
mostly?
it wasn't
I feel like.
Anyways, one of our dudes, man, he made a solid point, and I saved it. I sent it to Jerry because, you know, it was true, right? It was perfect.
Yeah, I nailed you.
And he said, Tom, Jerry does the whoopsies, and Tom instinctively responds with something about fingering minors. I said, I do that. I said, but the reason why I do that is because the more offensive I am, the more people are like, oh, and they don't realize that, like, I'm not funny. They're just, like, more mortified than they are.
Stop.
They realize they're like, well, that's
Tom,
not funny,
I want to tell you,
know?
your prowess, by the way, with the way you respond. I purposefully, and I hope you can understand why I did this. I purposefully avoided a story that involved a bridge. I know for those of you who haven't been listening to every episode for like the last 10 weeks or something, wouldn't know what the fuck we're talking about. However, if you have, you know that Tom does often refer back to the story where, what was it? Like, come over a bridge? I don't even remember what it was, but it had something to do with saving ejaculate out of a bridge that had been thrown over a bridge or something.
No, it was about trying to bring ejaculate across the border. And, like, the girl had the party girl.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was that,
pretty girl.
But I feel like there was something that was tossed, like a cop wouldn't do something except when something was tossed over a bridge.
No, he tossed the iPads over the river, into the river, and it had
kitty
it's
full of child porn.
That's when the cops,
yeah.
So, the cop would have gone in after the kitty porn, naturally.
That's right.
Because that's what cops do, is they go
after.
Yeah,
so I purposely...
Not because it's like a crime, but because they want to, like, they got to get the
That's
on
right.
it, right?
They're like, hey, you were supposed to email that first. Anyway.
So, I'm going to walk you through this, okay? I'm going to do it a little bit at a time. So I'm ignoring the quotations, right, for a moment. But it says opened at blank building near Nashville prompts federal response. Now, I don't know. I do love Bass Pro Shop. And I know that, like, the mecca of Bass Pro Shop is near Nashville or Knoxville or somewhere. It's in one of those southern, perhaps even Tennessee.
Wow.
That's where, like, the mecca is. It's like a tetrahedron, right? It's kind of like or it's like a pyramid, right? So, like, it's there, I think. So I'm going to assume that opened at Bass Pro Shop headquarters building prompts federal near Nashville prompts federal response. So now I gotta wonder what that quotations is.
Yeah, 2 words. Opened at that building. Yeah.
Can you give me a clue? Is, like, this thing that opened, is it a band name or a vendor perhaps that
it is
up?
It is an item that
okay.
Yeah.
Say no more.
I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
It would be 40 gallons of horse semen opened at Bass Pro Shop building near Nashville prompts federal response. Too easy. Go for it, Jerry.
You know, Tom,
tell me I'm right.
It is incredible how often you just nail it right on the nose. It's all you know, it's not even about how many stories there are about that specific thing. It's that you keep getting it. You know what I mean? Because eventually you would stop guessing, but no. Not only do you keep guessing, but you're also right.
Statistically, you know, it's going to be horse semen.
Right. Yeah. You know what's funny? If you handed me that as an assignment, I'd come up to you and I'd say, I don't get it.
I don't know how to break it down any further for you.
I don't know how to do. I don't know how to. Semen's not a palindrome. I don't get it.
It's pretty close, though. Honestly, it's one letter off.
So, Tom, suspicious letter opened at the IRS building near Nashville. Props federal
that's
response.
not funny.
It's incredibly serious. Tom, turns out some guy felt a little woozy after opening up a letter, so they did an internal investigation. Tom, turns out
semen.
it was the Constitution. They were just they had no,
Poor
couldn't
guy.
believe it.
He had to read it.
On the backside, it was the Bill of Rights. Can you imagine?
I could see why he would collapse. Poor guy.
Yeah, just very woozy. Very woozy.
You know, the IRS was, well, what was it like? Income tax was supposed to be like temporary, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Back in 1913.
Remember all those temporary.
Remember how the country operated for a while without federal income tax? Remember?
Yes,
like,
I have.
So when people ask, like, what about roads? We're like, well, what were we doing in 1912? Right? Like, we had
riding
roads
horses
back then, right?
On grass. There were no
roads. I'm pretty sure there were roads, Jerry. As a matter of fact, I think like the roads in Greece are still there, like the same ones that Socrates walked on. Like, I'm
yeah,
but
you know how that happened, right?
How? Explain
semen.
That, Jerry. Semen, horse semen. They fortified it with 40 gallons of horse semen.
Yeah. They used to. That's what they called tar back then.
You know what they used to do, though. You know what the interesting thing about ancient Greco-Roman civilizations is that they used to finger minors back then. That's true. That's fact. Like, I know you guys want to like criticize me about that, but they did. They used to finger minors back on these roads that were fortified with horse semen. Part of that joke is real, and you won't guess which one. You won't guess correctly.
Well, you won't guess which one because we don't. It's not in a word search. So.
Well, I don't understand how word searches works. Like, what do we do in a word search? You search
I think
words,
you have to. I think. I think you have to finger a minor in a lineup. So.
Now, does this minor, Jerry? Does this minor have a shirt on that indicates that they are college bound?
No. Instead, they have a T-shirt that says that they were born in the Congo while the Buffalo Bills were winning the Super Bowl.
Well,
all right, Tom. Here we go.
Right, so.
Man, woman. Okay. Man, woman. Charged in the blank attempt of a blank in Long Beach. I'm gonna do this again. Man, woman. That is two people, not just trying to cover gender bases.
No, I get it.
Charged in blank an activity, description of activity, attempt of a blank in Long Beach.
Long Beach is in California, as I understand it, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in a landlocked state, Jerry. So.
Yeah, but if it's straight from Long Beach, and it's come back to you, and you get what you deserve, try and get stopped, not get hurt.
Snoop Dogg is from Florida. I should know that, right? LBC.
Snoop Dogg's from California.
Also, Sublime, right?
Yeah.
They refer to the LBC, as I recall.
That's true. Yeah.
I wonder if that has anything to do with this. I wonder if
Sublime. Honestly, I think it's the two other members of Sublime who are still alive who did this.
You know, they tried to reboot Sublime.
Yeah, Long Beach Sub-All-Stars. Oh, no, well, also Sublime with so-and-so, right? There's
Rome.
like a...
Yeah. They tried. It didn't play out.
Yeah, that's... No.
I like Sublime.
I saw the Long Beach Sub-All-Stars once.
I've not listened to them. I remember when Sublime with Rome came out, and I was like, I'm not for change. I don't...
No. Well, I'll tell you.
Change.
The thing about that is, I don't care how good they are, it's like nobody... I mean, maybe they do. I don't think... For example, if the guy from Godsmack just took over as the singer of Alice in Chains...
Yeah, it'd be weird, right?
It'd be weird, right? But he'd be like, no, but I was in an Alice in Chains cover band called Godsmack. It's literally the name of my...
I didn't know that Godsmack was an Alice in Chains cover band.
Yeah, and now. I believe Godsmack was the name of a Alice in Chains song. That's where...
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. I went and saw a cover band one time of... I made the conscious effort to go to a fair when I was in Junction City, Kansas, when I was stationed at Fort Riley. I made the conscious effort, like, to leave my house to go see a Bon Jovi cover band called Bad Medicine, and it wasn't great.
Was it what you needed?
No, it was not. Our REO Speedwagon was also there, but they were like,
wait. So the actual REO Speedwagon was there, but you went to see the Bon Jovi cover band.
I did. I went for Bon Jovi's cover band. They opened up for REO Speedwagon, or as I like to say, REO Speedwagon followed the main event, Bad Medicine.
They were the encore. Yeah.
Yeah. So
REO ready?
REO, no, it was, I don't even think I stuck around. Truth be told, I don't think I stuck around for REO Speedwagon. And it was like a small thing. It was it was at a city park. It wasn't like, the stage was like, you could literally walk up and touch it. Like, it was there. It was like right there. I didn't stick around for REO Speedwagon.
Hey, you're just over at REO Speedwagon while they're playing, and you go, "Do you validate parking?"
Yeah, I politely asked them like if they could move the amp so that I could pull out my car and leave. Like, if you knew anything about Junction City, you would know, like, this city. Okay, so it's so funny. Talk about my ex-girlfriend, right? V. He and I used to do this thing called Prank Night. We would do these videos on YouTube, and one of them was Prank Night. Prank Night Part 2, we went around with water balloons and squirt guns, and we threw the water balloons out of the car, and we like squirted squirt guns out of the car, filled with soda. They were filled with like cherry Coke or whatever. And
oh no,
I was driving. We were both drunk, and we actually got pulled over that night because we were throwing water balloons. And I thought for sure, I literally called my first sergeant. I was like, "Hey," I left a message. I was like, "Hey man, I'm about to get arrested for DUI. I'm not going to be in, right? And like, and I need you to come pick me up, right?" And and that was it. But I didn't get arrested. Like the dude, believe it or not, two cop cars pulled up, SUVs pulled up, did not have a breathalyzer in either car. So they could not get me. No, this is a true story, 100% true. I did not get arrested for DUI because they did not have a breathalyzer, and I was absolutely drunk. Like I was drunk.
Wow.
But we were drunk enough to where we were throwing water balloons out the car, right? And squirting people with squirt guns filled with soda. Now, I had this like, and we were filming. This is all on YouTube. Like I can supply the link somewhere. It's on YouTube, where it's very funny. Like I still find it hilarious. This story I'm going to tell you, like people who watch it and don't know this backstory, they won't get what happened at that moment. But like I told V, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to pull up on these guys, and you just ask them for directions, and then squirt them." As soon as he starts talking, just spray him with the squirt gun or whatever. Like right when he's like in your face, just like spray him in his face, and it'll be hilarious. And I'm recording as I'm driving, right, and drunk at the same time. And total admission of guilt here, right? And so I pull over, and I'm like, all right, ask him for directions. And we stop, and the dude hops down off of this. We're on like 5th Street, right? And V, for whatever reason, asks him for directions to 6th Street. And we're like right at the crossroads, right? So like V's like, "Hey man, can you tell me how to get to 6th Street?" the dude's like, "Yeah, you like just turn right here. You're at 6th Street." Like right there. And V, he couldn't bring himself to do it. He couldn't spray him because like the dude's like right in his face, and he couldn't do it. And like I pulled off, and we'd turn right or whatever. But like, and you hear V say, I can't do it, man. I can't do it." But like, and then he ends up spraying a guy in a parked car or whatever. But anyways, there's that scene. And so I don't know why that reminded me. It was really like asking for directions when it's like right there, right in your face. Like that's how small the town was. You like you're on 5th Street, and like I only went up to like 12th Street, I think, or whatever. But like that's how small the town was. And we were at an REO Speedwagon concert, or I'm sorry, a Bad Medicine concert, and with REO
the event
Speedwagon.
Of the year.
But it was like I could tell you, I could probably count on the number of hands in this room right now how many people were there at the event. Like it was like a very small like carnival type event. So man, woman charged in the blank blank attempt of a blank in Long Beach.
That's correct.
Man, woman charged in the
Fingering of a minor.
attempt, right? It's an
Attempt. Yeah.
Of a minor. The horse semen attempt of a fingering minor. Okay. No, I feel like I've read this one. Man, woman charged in the aggressive no. Okay. Charged in the No, I swear I've read this one. And I feel like I'd be cheating if I gave you the right answer. Man, woman charged in the you know what? I do remember. I'm just going to admit it that I've read this one. In the Grand Theft horse semen attempt of a fingered minor. No. I don't know,
Finally.
Jerry. I don't know. No, what was it? I actually talked to somebody, too, this week, and we were discussing how I couldn't get through it the other day when you asked me, like, about a kid. And, like, even, like, I passed it because I'm like, I can't do this. I can't talk about fingering a minor or poisoning a baby. You, like, give me these horrible ones where I'm like, man, woman charged in the dog sex attempt of a Doberman in Long Beach, right? Like, that sounds like the real headline. If I had to guess, because I feel like we've experienced enough whoobies, like I've been through enough whoobies now. Like, I know that that it's gonna be something along those lines. The dog sex attempt of a Doberman in Long Beach. Final answer, Jerry.
Well, here we go. Man, woman charged in the armed kidnapping attempt of baby in Long Beach.
I was close. I was so close.
Dude, I was having it. Yeah. So turns out, right? Here's what happened. So they, of course, gun at the mother's face, and they take the baby. They actually had the baby in their hands, and then
so
the baby,
close.
Dude, and then the baby poopied, and they said, never mind.
Yeah, who wants a poopy baby?
Like, I don't want your poopy baby.
If you're gonna kidnap a baby, it better not have poop, right? It better not have poopies.
I felt like that was funnier to me, All right, here we go, Tom.
I know you still got a baby that's like making the poopies. Yeah,
that's right. So. All right, here we go. Florida deputy resigns after video shows him blank
collecting iPads from the river that have porn on them. Final answer.
All right. Good. All right. Because I got a lot. Let's run through this. Florida deputy resigns after video shows him pulling a gun on a pregnant woman during a traffic stop. And, Tom, he did resign, but he did have good reason. He was quoted as saying, the fetus refused to comply, and I can't accept that level of disrespect.
What is this officer? Is this Deputy George Floyd?
He said, put him up. And he didn't hear anything. He didn't even say, yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's grounds for immediately.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, the thing, Jerry, is like they repealed Roe versus Wade. So I think like that deputy probably had his hands tied to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Like he had to...
Tied more than even the fetus.
Yeah. So I feel like...
You know what I mean?
I feel like he was... Well, I mean, he's bound by the law, right? You would think.
That's true, yeah.
So...
Yep. She says,
man,
oh, I'm pregnant. He's
situation.
like, oh, now I got a multiple driver situation.
Now I have... How do you kill... So that's... I guess my question is, how does a police officer kill a pregnant woman? There used to be a time where you could kill a pregnant woman.
Well, it's simple, Tom. Look, it's simple, Tom. You bring her to Planned Parenthood.
You can't. There's no such thing anymore.
Oh, no. You do it now. If they're empty buildings, you just shoot them in the back of the head.
That's the new Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, you just bring it to...
abandoned buildings in the inner city.
The abandoned Planned Parenthood building, you just shoot them in the face. So it's fine. All right, Tom, I got one about heroes. Okay?
Ooh.
We talk a lot about heroes on this show. And I think we need to cover this one. Okay? Quote, these men are heroes. Okay? Tennessee trooper and sheriff's deputy killed after, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words describing how they were killed. I'm leaving it to you.
Okay.
So these men are heroes. Tennessee trooper and sheriff's deputy killed after blank, 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 blank.
I think you know where I'm going with this. These men are heroes. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Tennessee trooper and sheriff department deputy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now I have to wonder what they were doing together, because as I understand it, like sheriff's deputies and troopers, state troopers, are like cats and dogs.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. It's like when you have to bring the feds in on a job. They're like, "Oh, this is my crime scene." You
right? It's a jurisdiction situation, right? So what are they doing at the same place that they're going to get killed, except for some 6-word sentence?
That's right.
Perhaps killed after.
I also have to applaud Andrew for letting us know he's going to get something to eat.
I appreciate that, J-Dubs.
Yeah, I appreciate him letting us know.
You know what? I know this one. This is too easy.
Let's do it. Okay. Good. Let's do it.
I gotta write it down because I gotta make sure that it meets the
6
criteria.
Yeah.
Because you said 6 words, so I'm gonna try to stick
correct.
to that. Sometimes I like to, I like to play fast and loose, right?
Yeah.
These men are heroes.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, like I said, this is how I knew the answer instinctively.
Immediately. Yeah, you were very quick.
Because, like we said, Tennessee, troopers, state troopers and sheriff's deputies do not get along.
No.
It's like when you have water and oil.
That thin blue line has guns pointing on each side of it. You know what I'm saying?
There's like varying degrees of shades of blue, perhaps, right? And they don't, just like oil and water, they don't mix. Like that experiment where you put oil, you put water, you put
it's like
some other shit on top, and it's like it's 3 separate things. Horse semen, you put separate thing.
That's actually better than what I was going to say.
All right, good.
Less trouble.
What was it, like baby fetuses? I tried to keep up with
No,
you
know how there's... No, you know how it is, Tom. It's not even about being offensive. It's just what would get us in trouble. Like, they don't mix in the same way as certain members of society are out there punching people in the face and kicking and beating them on the streets for no reason. Yeah. Like certain section of the population is doing that to another certain section of the population right now.
And I don't care really about either one of them.
Hey, listen, we all have to get our laundry done. Stop it. So
as long as we end, instead of a hard R, if we do it with a hard X, right?
A hard X.
A soft
That's
X.
right.
Listen. You know what? The only way that I'm going to accept the X at the end of Latinx is if there's 3 of them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Latinx, XX, right?
Yeah.
Because
then
you know it's going to be like a strip club with like a bunch of hot Hispanic women, queefing all over the stage, or whatever the Spanish word for queefing is. I don't know what it is.
Queefix.
Queefix. All right, but the answer is, because this is the only thing that would bring these 2 types of law enforcement together.
Mm-hmm.
These men are heroes. Tennessee trooper and sheriff deputy killed after waiting in river for child porn, Jerry. Waiting in horse semen, fingering minors.
Dude, it's so close. These men are heroes. Tennessee trooper and sheriff's deputy killed after helicopter struck a power line and crashed. Tom?
How does that make them heroes, Jerry?
Well, Tom, here's the thing. I asked myself that same question. Then I asked the supervisor on the scene, the highest ranking highest ranking
What did
member.
she have to say? I assume it's a she.
Oh yeah, obviously. Yeah, okay.
A black she.
Yeah. They said. Now remember, this is in Chattanooga. They said we've been trying to cut off power to these hillbilly faggots for a while. These boys finally did it. They are heroes.
The thing is, like, the cops were probably hillbilly faggots too. It's Tennessee, right? You know, they're talking about Appalachia,
Tom,
right?
Listen, excuse me. I don't play by the rules. You know what I mean? I just go by what I'm told. You know. I say, hey, Sarge. You know what I mean? Hey, Captain. And he goes, can you tell me why these guys are heroes? And he goes, well, the two of them were jerking each other off and crashed into a power line. But we've been trying to get the power cut off to these hillbilly packets for a while.
Can you believe the world that we're living in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I mean, how could he be so insensitive?
I mean, like, why did it take so long?
Oh, yeah. That's also true. So here we go, Tom. This one is very, very quick. Blank pills, powder, reported nationwide. Blank, describing the pills, powder, are reported nationwide. Tom, what do you think?
Well, I'm thinking morning after pills.
Oh my goodness.
But that would be too easy.
Yeah, powder. Although powdery morning after powder would be weird.
Can you imagine? Like, oops, I didn't
like,
pull
dude,
out.
You have
and
a
then
one night
just
stand.
Like, she's like, that's okay. You know, and she's like with her credit card. It's just like cutting up the morning after powder. I, however,
if she did the bump off your penis, that'd be all right. You know,
part of me wants to write that off completely.
You know what I mean?
But the other part of me is thinking about the abortion pills.
Right.
Another part of me is thinking about fentanyl. Right? Fentanyl
pills.
Oh,
wow. Okay. I didn't fentanyl pills.
But I know that's like a. I know that's two. That's one word. When what I need is two.
Right.
So I would say, based on.
Can I say you're close?
A current event that we've talked about today. I want to say anti-queefing pills and powder. Babe, you were really queefing an awful lot today. Hey, don't even trip. You know, and she's got like the ring. And, she's like,
and again, she's doing the
yeah,
key
bump. A key of like anti-queefing powder. That's what I would say. Anti-queefing powder.
So friggin' close. I can't even imagine. Rainbow fentanyl pills, powder reported nationwide. Rainbow fentanyl. Okay. It turns out they come in a package, and it says on the box as a selling point. All right. As a seller, tagline: "Take this, get monkeypox." And then it says, okay, if you get my meaning.
So, how I've never taken fentanyl. How likely am I to?
But Tom, wait a minute. If you get my meaning,
how likely am I to get fucked in the butt while I'm on fentanyl?
Well, Tom, on regular
but it's also
fentanyl,
rainbow, right? Rainbow fentanyl. So
this is okay.
It's like gay, but also like I understand that. I've watched Euphoria, or as I like to call it, Dix, the TV show. I've watched it, and she uses fentanyl one time.
Okay.
And it's like, it sounds amazing, right? But
let me tell you, Tom.
It's incredibly deadly, right?
That is regular fentanyl. That would not necessarily lead you to butt stuff.
Jerry, however, I gotta ask you though.
Okay.
You say rainbow powder, rainbow fentanyl powder.
Rainbow fentanyl pills and powder. That's correct.
So how have you ever like made rainbow, like red powder, orange powder, yellow powder, blue powder? You've made like different colored powders, or Play-Doh maybe even, like where you mix it together. What color does it turn? It turns brown, right?
Yeah.
what happens when you like take this rainbow fentanyl powder and you mix it together? Like, does it?
Oh yeah,
just
no,
turn
I
into
actually have
brown,
an answer for
regular-
that. I
Okay,
did
yeah,
did a little bit. Yeah, I did a little bit of research on this. Turns out, if you mix them together, you feel compelled to fly in a helicopter, and then as you give each other monkeypox, you will crash into a power
river
line
where you find an iPod
where you
full
find
of
nothing but semen-covered child porn.
What's like going on in this child porn, Jerry? Like, what sort of imagery do we see?
I mean, it's
Maybe fingering minors.
maybe fingering a minor or two.
Jerry, that's sick. Why would you
I know.
say that? Why would you talk
Well,
about
I didn't make it up.
fingering minors?
I didn't.
Sicko.
Can I just say, here's one I don't want to actually even do. I don't want to make you guess, but I thought this was too cute. So a mailman got killed
Fingered.
delivering mail to a house. He was mauled by 2 dogs at the home, right? And the owner of the property said, "Fucking finally! I bought these dogs years ago."
It's like when you buy a gun and they're like, all guns kill people, and you're like, my guns have never killed anybody, which is like
Right.
the reason why I bought these guns was to kill people, right?
That was the whole thing. I've been waiting this whole time.
So why did I buy these? Why did I adopt these pit bulls if they're not going to kill the mailman, for crying out loud?
Come on, guys.
You know,
Listen.
when people say, you know, why, you know, people who own guns, they just want to kill people, or like they buy these weapons of war, right? They refer to them as weapons of war, or like they
Sure,
talk about
yeah.
how dangerous they are, and I'm like, yes. Have you ever like, isn't that like when people like they say it like it's a bad thing, and I'm like, well, yeah, I own guns because at some point,
Right.
you know, I'm concerned that somebody is going to try to harm me or my family, my wife. Or
Yeah,
my
see,
kids.
war doesn't mean you started it. I think that's
Yeah.
what people don't understand, right? Like, if you say weapons of war, and they go, and you're supposed to be like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. The thing is, if war comes to you,
You gotta do something about it.
you have to do something about it. You have to engage. It's not, I want to necessarily start some shit, but if shit is brought to me, I will finish some shit. That kind of thing.
I did I had a thing the other day with some of the men from my church where we met up for breakfast, and I always carry. I carry everywhere I go. I always have my concealed.
Well, you told me that
gun, right?
you actually fire off your gun and then let the smoke go over your eggs and bacon.
Well, it gives it that smoky taste, right?
That's
Have
right.
you ever
yeah.
like, you know, when you have like an old fashioned and you want it to taste a little smoky, you fire your gun off a couple times and it gives it that oily, smoky
That's right.
smell. Yeah, that taste.
Everybody knows that.
You gotta do it. And
If you finger a minor in a lineup,
if you've never like taken a bump of rainbow fentanyl, like before you fire off your gun over your eggs and bacon, like
then
you're
you're
really
gonna crash
an
your
American?
helicopter every single
Yeah.
time.
And then leave there and go wade through the rivers and looking for kiddie porn. You're not an American. Well, you ain't black.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
no, I carry everywhere. And like when we were at we were at breakfast. It was like 9:00 in the morning, and I have my gun on me, and
Sure.
my youngest.
It'd
and
be
I
weird
are
if it was
there.
on someone else.
Yeah, like I don't just like sneak in and like sneak my gun onto other people's waistbands or whatever as a goof.
Right.
But I had my gun on me, and one of the guys from my church, he said, "Hey, did you see that this guy or girl? I don't remember who it was, but they had a gun or had a knife in their pocket, like you know how you slide the knife in your pocket and you've got the clip on the
sure.
outside." I think it was the waitress, and he said, "Did you notice she had a knife on her?" And I said, I don't pay attention to like when somebody has a knife. I said, if somebody has a knife, good for them, but if they come at me with a knife, they've literally brought a knife to a gunfight. And so when I see somebody with a knife, I don't even think about it. I look for people if they have a gun, and I can see that they have a gun. I notice that.
Right. You've
but I
also
always
told me
have
that
a
if
gun.
they're playing knifey spoony, you'll notice.
I will, and I always win in knifey spoony because I have a gun, right? So like when I'm like, that's
Right.
not a knife, this is a knife, and they're like, oh, that's not a knife, that's a gun. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh
But
yeah, sorry.
so I said that's the literal situation. Like, we've entered into this situation where I'm like, well, they've brought a knife to a gunfight. Now, if you had pointed out to me like, oh, that dude has a gun, I'd be like, oh, super. Well, we're on like the same level. I guarantee my gun is better than their gun. And I guarantee I'm a better shot than they are. So we're not even in that regard. But I was like, at least it'll be a fair fight to some degree. But yeah, he was like, and I told him, I was like, that's like the least of my worries, somebody with a knife. You know?
Yeah, I remember you told me a very similar scenario. You said, yeah, the only way I'd be like possibly equaled out is if someone came with a waterlogged bunch of iPads covered in with a bunch of child porn. You'd be like, what? And then you may not have the firmest grip on your gun for a second. Because,
I think we've sufficiently beaten that dead horse queefing in a bar.
Oh, damn it. I was just about to say, did it sound like this?
Nope, I beat you to it. That's the only reason I said it. Because I don't think there's no such thing to me as beating a dead horse on this show.
So, Tom, this is a long one, and I got a piece. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give it to you, and then you're going to maybe think it out loud, so we don't have just dead air, I guess. And I'm going to go, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do it. Here we go. Ready?
Right. Yep. And this is the last
blank. One. Ooh, man. Okay. Blank, blank. Jumped the school fence and entered blank, blank in an attempt to blank, blank a student.
Oh, boy.
I know, right?
Give it to me again. Blank, blank, jumped the school fence.
Yep. And entered blank, blank in an attempt to blank, blank a student. Got that?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and take
All
your
right.
whiz, and I'll work through it. All right?
Work it out.
All right, folks in the chat, I'm going to need your help. And Megabit actually mentioned... well, we got some comments here. Stephicus got a cute pink revolver. And Megabit said, what about a gun that shoots knives? Again, you'd still be bringing a knife to a gunfight, as far as I'm concerned. If I could see that it is a gun that shoots knives, that to me is bringing a knife to the gunfight. So I need help with this one. Blank blank jumped the school fence and entered blank blank in an attempt... All right, hold on. I got to make sure I got this name right. I think I do. Yep. All right, so I think it's... And then... So I think... All right. Nikolas Cruz jumped the school fence and entered Stoneman Douglas School.
You know what I like about this? I'm just hearing it now. This is great.
So I have it all but the last two. So in an attempt, the folks at home, who I'm hoping that Megabit, who's a pretty solid contributor to these, can help me finish this. In an attempt to blank blank a student, and he has since heard what the first part is. You have not yet.
No, I have not. This is great. I love this. We have to
think about what blank blank did when they entered blank blank in an attempt. So we got to figure out what they did to a student.
Yeah, to a student. That's right.
And I'm at this point, I'm waiting. You know what? I'm going to go take a whiz while we wait for Megabit to contribute because I think he's got the answer. It's blank blank. He knows, jumped the school fence and entered blank blank in an attempt to blank blank a student. Now you.
So he helped you with all but.
No, the first I gave him the
okay.
first 4 blanks, and I'm expecting somebody in the chat to give an answer without
The
you
last
knowing, without you knowing what the first 4 blanks are.
Right.
So, and I hope that this will be funny when they give you examples.
Well, okay, yeah.
Right.
So, all right. I know there's a little bit of a delay, but I don't want to know what the first parts were, but I think this is pretty good. I love this. This is cooperative Mad Libs. And the other thing is too, if you say something offensive, it's possible that I won't see it because it's going to show up like on Tom's screen somewhere, and I'm not going to see any of it. I do like, for whatever reason, the idea of a gun that shoots knives, just for like apropos of everything that we've been talking about. Did you guys ever watch that movie Shoot 'Em Up? I feel like it would have been in that movie. That's what got me into Clive Owen, like that, and of course Children of Men. But anyway, Megabit. Okay. Anybody else in the chat who's not Megabit and presumably also not Andrew, because I just assume they're still out getting something to eat. The last part of this, like I said, blank blank jumped school fence and entered blank blank in an attempt to blank blank a student. Anybody else? Explain palindrome. That's good. I think we're gonna have to go with that. That's actually good.
I see.
You see what Jin wrote?
Do you know what the? Nobody gave you the real answers,
No.
Or what I gave.
No,
okay.
literally,
So,
I was talking to myself
I like
mostly,
what Jin
and then these
said.
just came in. Yeah.
I'm disappointed at Megabit and Stephicus, obviously by his side, saying that she.
See, I didn't want to call her out first. I was like, well, if he took over the first part, have her come in,
Somebody,
but then
somebody could have given. I mean, they could have teamed up and each given one word at least. But no, we'll go with explain palindrome.
Yeah,
So
that works for me. I love
this definition, or I'm sorry, I hope this name, these names don't. I hope they don't. I hope you don't. I hope you recognize them. So
okay.
You said blank blank jumped the school fence and entered blank blank in an attempt to blank blank a student.
That's correct.
And we might even say blank blank to a student, just because.
Oh, okay.
To make
Jin's right, yes, because
work.
They're explaining, yeah.
Because I think that's really funny. I agree. Nikolas Cruz.
Oh, okay.
Jumped the school fence and entered Stoneman Douglas in an attempt to, because that's the school's name, right? In an attempt to explain palindrome to a student. So that makes it way
David
better.
Hogg,
I like that. Oh, did Mike's not come through? Mike, give us an edited version.
Oh no.
No, we don't have yours on our screen.
No, I seriously, Mike, I would have said.
It came through on the probably came through on the video feed, but it didn't come through on the
That's what I said. Screen. I said, Tom, I said if you put something that I can't, for some reason they blank, that's going to show up on Tom's screen, and yours wasn't even visible on the left hand. Tom knows what I'm talking about. I couldn't even see you. It was double me. So, well, we'll wait on what Mike's answer is. I guess he must just not have been able to put in. Oh, all right. Well, that's fine. Listen, when you get the job, you're sometimes a little weak. You can't press enter hard enough.
Oh.
No, come on. Hey, he was first. He was first. Can't even. I can't even talk
You know what?
shit.
We didn't even say. You know what? We didn't even welcome.
We didn't even greet everybody. That's
what
right. Well, here, let's.
I am, Jerry.
I know. Well, what we're actually doing is trying to end before like 11:30. So we're trying. It's like a gift. We take one thing, we give the other. Okay, here we go, Tommy. You ready? Sex offender jumped school fence and entered girls' restroom in an attempt to sexually assault a student.
Oh.
Right? Now check this out. Cops came and arrested him. and he was released immediately, and now he is the starting center of the school basketball team.
That's a little. I'll tell you what, Jerry. That's a little bit more. The true headline is like a little bit more offensive than the one that we did. This is like a rare instance where like it's a little bit more offensive than what we did. Ours was surely it was a little distasteful, right?
Sure. Yeah, I forgot to mention it was a girls' basketball team.
Oh.
You know, he became the center of the girls' basketball team.
He became like the sex coach of the basketball team. That's how it became way more grosser.
All right, so I have two more, but I'm gonna not make you. No. I'm gonna just do them.
Oh, and then do your jokes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do the jokes, and then Teen sex trafficking victims rescued during statewide human trafficking rescue. Now it says here, Tom, they captured 35 Johns and 1 Steve. Tom,
what a stupid joke, Jerry.
Tom, they also say it took 98 agencies in the state of Ohio to capture these 36 fellers. To which I said, if it was only 98 degrees, Nick Lachey would have gotten a lot more dudes.
Wasn't he married to Jessica Simpson for a while?
Yeah, the chicken of the sea girl. You know?
Oh, man. She used to be hot until she had a bunch of kids, and now she's like...
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Remember she was wearing, like, Daisy Dukes as Daisy Duke?
That's
Johnny
correct,
Knoxville and Sean William Scott.
I remember all of those things,
Shawn Michael, the wrestler.
John Michael Scott, Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Right. So here's the last one, Tom. Youth pastor used blackmail to obtain sex videos from young boys. Okay? Now, he would text them. He would get a young boy to text a nude photo of himself, and then he would instantly say, "I've got you," and threaten to circulate that video if the child didn't engage in sex acts with him. Now, in his defense, because of course, Tom, we have to get both sides of the story here. You had me at Bigfoot. So he said, no, you guys were missing the context. The kids were so young, they'd send me the picture and I'd go, I got you. Got
your wiener.
Right, and then there was one time where they sent the picture.
Jerry, did he do this?
Dude,
I got your wiener.
So he goes, then there was one time, it was actually 2 separate texts. You were not reading both sentences. One said, I got you, and then it said, our nose.
Oh, I thought it was his wiener. Yeah. I thought it was that little boy's wiener, Jerry.
Yeah, I know. That's what they said. Because...
Do you ever find yourself in that situation, Jerry? Where like a priest tried to blackmail you with nudes. Like, so I gotta wonder, right?
Okay.
What was his strategy? Like, if the kids were like, "Oh, go ahead," like, what was he gonna do? Like, hey, your son sent me this video or this picture of him stroking his dick off or whatever. And and then the parents are like, well, let me see the text message chain or whatever, and then like the preceding message is like, hey, send me a picture of you jacking your dick off, and then let
me see your big boss hog.
Yeah, let me see. I was just thinking about Jessica Simpson and Daisy Dukes. Let me see your boss hog, right? What was his end game, right?
Let me get your Johnny Knoxville off.
Yeah. That does sound like a sex maneuver.
It does,
also,
right?
So does explaining palindromes. So, if you didn't know the context, and I said I was trying to explain palindrome to a minor today, you'd be like, Thomas.
You'd be like,
right,
Tom, I think we need to speak. We need to go in the break room.
We need to go consult the pastor or the priest or whatever, because he's got some nudes that he wants to show us.
Well,
all right,
here,
Jerry,
dude,
what do you got?
Oh, I want to agree with you just before we go.
You want to
Sometimes,
agree with me about the priest with the dudes?
well, yeah, because dude, no, it's always about like even this. We live in a world now where even something mundane sounds like you need to have a serious talk, right? And I just changed. I'm Xing out of all my stories that I've done such hard work on, right? All the research I've done and phone calls I made. And then it says this one, body cam shows arrest of a pastor who was watering his neighbor's flowers. Now, Tom, if you just said, hey, did you hear about Dave? Yeah, what? He was caught watering his neighbor's flowers. Got arrested. You'd be like, oh, man, we need to talk to Dave. That's fucked up, you know?
You just assume, yeah.
Yeah. And then you'd get, and then if his name was Steve, right? You'd say, wow, he was arrested with those other 35 Johns.
Fucking Steve. It's always
fucking
Steve. Have you ever known a Steve that is like like a normal guy?
No, I'll tell you what. Every time I've met a Steve, I'm like, will you stop hanging out with those Johns?
Will you stop fingering minors?
Stop fingering minors in a lineup, you sick fuck. Anyway, I'm glad to be back. Right. Oh, yeah. But I just want to tell everybody, I'm glad we're back. I know we all need to take time sometimes. I've done it, Tom's done it, and I'm sure people here in this chat have done it. But I got to say, I saw that we reached double-digit viewers at once. We're now over 700 subscribers. Yeah. Personally, I had a good time. I think everybody else has as well. I hope so. And I'm glad to be back, Tom.
Me too.
That's where I'm at.
I'll tell you what. I don't know what happened with our screen. Oh, it's yelling at me. It's saying that people are having a hard time hearing me for whatever reason. And that's why, for some reason, it showed on your screen. It like bumped you down, and yeah, technology.
Weird.
Yeah, I finished my seminary the other day, and I am waiting to hear whether or not I passed. There's one class that I'm still waiting to hear from. Every other class I've passed except for this one that I'm waiting on. And the only way that I will have failed it is if I got like a 10% on this final assignment. I would have to have like.
Can I ask you if it involved a lot of word searches?
No. Well, thank God, because I don't know that I would understand. I wouldn't understand how to do that.
I got concerned.
I would have to talk to somebody, and they would have to try to break it down to me, like even further than like the lowest possible level that you can break it down. But I've finished. I'm done.
Awesome.
And that's why we're here today, because I spent all last week trying to catch up and finish these projects that I should have been working on throughout the course of the semester. But no, we'll see if I pass that class. I hope that I will. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I did get accepted back into my old school. Like as soon as I applied, I wasn't even done with my other school. I was just like procrastinating because that's what I do. But I reapplied to a school that I was going to before for my MBA, so I could finish my MBA. And I only have like one semester left for my MBA too, so I could graduate potentially from 2 different schools in 1 year with 2 different master's degrees. But we'll see. I'm waiting to hear back from my advisor about taking 3 classes at one time and shit. But yeah, if that's the case, hopefully, I think at this point from here on out, we'll probably move back to a let's talk about one topic. Sort of whatever format for the show. I think we'll move back to that. I've got a couple that I need to talk to Jerry about that we can go from here. But let me do this real quick because I want to make sure that I announce the people who are in the chat today.
Sure.
Welcome to the chat. Mike, Amanda, J-Dubs, Megabit, Steph, Jin, who's first time being on the live show, Jadogi, Joseph Byrer, Critter, Mostly Wave, and I think I got everybody there. But no, we sure should appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with us. It's always funny to be here, and even though my my go-to response is fingering a minor or whatever, as I was called out in the chat. I do have a lot of fun, and it's always funny to sit here and like chat with you guys and engage with you in the chat. And Mike, how dare you when you said something about it wasn't funny anyways. I find all the stuff that you say, I find it to be very amusing. So don't ever put yourself down like that. We do love having you guys in the chat.
Yeah.
You guys bring a very interesting dynamic to the show, and we sure appreciate you guys. Not only do we appreciate you guys tuning in, we appreciate you guys contributing. So we will see you guys. Oh, and Mike reminds me, don't forget the FBI guy and the new IRS agent in the chat. Because there are 87,000 of them, and we recently were talking in the Discord. If you haven't already liked or joined the Discord, we'd love to have you there, because it's where we do the show. Basically, everybody is involved, and we chat throughout the week, and we get to cut it up in there a lot. Jerry ignores us and shit because he's too busy like with he's got a real life and shit, so he doesn't really like join us unless we tag him and stuff. Then he jumps in and gets involved. But
that's true. Tag me and I'll know.
and then he'll join us. You have to tag him. But no, we'd love to have you there. And we were actually talking about how Canada has recently instituted a euthanasia program for veterans. they've put veterans, like, you call the suicide hotline for veterans, and they tell you, yeah, come on in.
Oh, sure, we'll kill you.
Instead of trying to talk you out of it, they're like, yeah, euthanasia is now legal here in Canada, so come on down.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Mike was pretty upset about that. Poor Mike.
Their answer is usually, I wasn't doing anything anyway. Come on over.
Mike is one of them. Mike is one of the Mounties who loves killing veterans. No, Mike is... No, Mike.
No.
He actually said, it was so funny. I saw Mike's comment. He said, "Big fucking whoopies." And I realized that somebody else had posted whoopsies. And I was like, oh, all right. But yeah, no, that's where we share a lot of shit in the Discord. So if you're not already in the Discord, join us. Please contribute.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have you. We do a ton of like prequel memes. So if you've got prequel memes, bring them. We'd love to have them.
Especially now, we're replacing Queef and everything.
Or if you want to talk about Queefs, yeah. That's the thing. We're doing in the Discord right now. You're replacing a lyric. You're replacing one word in a lyric with Queef, or you're replacing one word in a Star Wars prequel quote with Queef. Right. And whoever's is the funniest wins. I don't know what you win, but like I said, a bottle of Queef, right? Like, you remember how like the e-girls or whatever, they would like they'd put their bath water in.
So they'd fart in a bath.
Queefs, right?
They'd fart in a glass jar and then sell it for like $100.
Whoever wins will get a Queef in a bottle from Jerry.
Queefing in a bottle.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
I don't remember we got to do this. I haven't been doing this lately.
I'm Joe Biden.
Oh, the Biden.
And I approve this message.